Chapter 1481. Genius 1, Second Remember Love, Go/Little. I'll bring you a wonderful novel to read. Seeing the enemy's troops appear, Knight Sorrow carried Lai Kong to the front of the formation. Is there a change of people this time? Knight Sorrow asked. He could see that the other side had no intention of fighting. If they wanted to fight, they wouldn't have sent two people. Young man, we can talk, said Khufu. Is there a need to talk? Knight Sorrow looked at Khufu. Talking is one thing. Success or failure is another. It mainly depends on sincerity and the price. If the price is high enough, then the negotiation will be successful, said Khufu with a smile. I want Lai Bing to lose his ability to fight. I want him to live a life worse than death. What price can you pay to get him back? I don't think so, said Knight Sorrow with a smile. You don't want Lai Bing to lose his ability to fight because he threatens the safety of the Chaos Realm. But have you thought about it? With your current methods, losing his ability to fight is only temporary. I'm here to solve this problem. You don't have to doubt that I can solve it. The drawback is that Lai Bing needs time to recover. I'm here to talk to you. During this time, Lai Bing won't fight. You can name the price, said Khufu. How long will it take? Knight Sorrow thought for a moment and asked. 3 years. After 3 years, you can do whatever you want, said Khufu. It's not impossible for him to not fight for 3 years, but the price. Are you prepared to pay a big price? Asked Knight Sorrow. There's nothing to be prepared for. We have to talk until both sides agree, said Khufu with a smile. I originally wanted to torture him to death. If you're willing to pay a big price to get him back, it's not impossible. 3 years, right? 1 million Saint Spirit Stones a year. Don't haggle. I don't really want to talk about it. Knight Sorrow said. Then let's go back and discuss it. Khufu cupped his hands towards Knight Sorrow. He could see that there was no point in negotiating because Knight Sorrow wouldn't make any concessions. After seeing Khufu and Xie Bing leave, Knight Sorrow turned around and returned to the United Army camp. Tang Jianfeng and Qing Emperor followed closely behind and also went to Knight Sorrow's tent because they were very anxious. Knight Sorrow, this isn't a good idea. If that guy recovers, we won't be able to hold on. No amount of Saint Spirit Stones will be of any use. Tang Jianfeng's face was filled with anxiety. Yeah, Knight Sorrow, what do you think this time? Qing Emperor asked. He needs 3 years, but I don't. Maybe a year, maybe half a year, maybe even less, and I can completely suppress them, Knight Sorrow said. What do you mean? Why don't I understand? Tang Jianfeng was confused. Knight Sorrow found an opportunity to break through. His original body is in seclusion, and it's only a matter of time before he breaks through to the heavenly monarch realm. Dechira waved his hand and said, after setting up a barrier, that person is only a heavenly monarch, but his aura is strange. It's similar to Uncle Shindaozi. I think he does have a way to solve Lai Bing's problem. If that's the case, it's best to get some resources. He won't fight for 3 years, and that's what I want, Knight Sorrow said. Sorry, I misunderstood you. Then let's do it this way. 3 million Saint Spirit Stones. No matter how rich the Devil Blood Domain is, they will lose a lot of money, Tang Jianfeng said. He was in a good mood because he saw hope. There was a difference between a sovereign realm and a heavenly monarch realm. Knight Sorrow was a sovereign realm now, but everyone had seen his combat strength. Once he entered the heavenly monarch realm, his strength would increase tremendously. The opponent's half-step sovereign realm would no longer be a threat. Very good. Master is waiting to celebrate for you and for myself. Brother Tang, if both of my disciples enter the heavenly monarch realm, I, as a master, will be unprecedented, Qing Emperor said with a smile. He was also very happy. That goes without saying. Knight Sorrow, we won't disturb you anymore. Let's go for a drink. Tang Jianfeng pulled Qing Emperor out of Knight Sorrow's tent. Knight Sorrow and Dechira chatted casually. He was very relaxed now. He was very confident that as long as he reached the heavenly monarch realm, he would be able to solve this crisis. Lai Bing needed 3 years, and in reality, 3 years was enough for Knight Sorrow to cultivate in the Haotian Divine Pagoda for 150 years. At this time in the big tent in the Devil Blood Chi, Khufu, Lai Bing, and Xie Bing were also talking. 3 million. He must be crazy. What does he think it is? A stone? Lai Bing was furious when he heard that Knight Sorrow wanted 3 million Saint Spirit Stones. He only had a little more than 1 million Saint Spirit Stones in his collection. He couldn't afford 3 million Saint Spirit Stones from Knight Sorrow. Lai Bing, have you thought about it? As long as you are fine, why would you care about the Saint Spirit Stones? As long as we take over the Chaos Realm, they won't spit out the 3 million Saint Spirit Stones. Khufu looked at Lai Bing and reminded him. That's right. As long as we can take over the Chaos Realm, not to mention spitting out the 3 million Saint Spirit Stones, we can even plunder a few million Saint Spirit Stones. I can gather 1 million Saint Spirit Stones, Xie Bing said. Then I will make the decision to transfer 1 million Saint Spirit Stones from our Devil Blood City City Lore Mansion. However, you have to pay it back as soon as possible, Khufu said. Thank you, High Priest. Lai Bing nodded at Khufu. I can help you destroy the soul and body of your doppelganger, but you will suffer a great loss and your origin will be damaged. It's best if you can get it back. Then you have to find a way to gather 2 million Saint Spirit Stones. I will go back and get 1 million for you. We have to be fast. Don't let that guy change his mind. Anything can happen before we reach a deal. He is young and inexperienced, but there are still some old guys. After reminding Lai Bing and Xie Bing, Khufu left to help gather the Saint Spirit Stones. Knight Sorrow had been studying the Void returning to Origin Kill. In addition, he was also trying to combine the Extreme Point Kill and the Returning to Origin Kill. One was to break the surface, while the other was to combine the 4 sides. They were 2 completely different extremes. If they could complement and multiply each other, the power would be great. After practicing the Dharma body, Knight Sorrow had breakfast with Dechira and his children in the morning. They mainly chatted. Knight Sorrow also asked about his children's practice. At this time, Yi Qingyan and Yi Yujun were both at the peak of the Saint Realm. In addition to practicing fighting skills, they also needed to enter the return to Origin Realm. At this time, Xie Bing and Khufu appeared. They had spent a lot of time to gather enough Saint Spirit Stones. Now, they planned to trade with Knight Sorrow. They were afraid that a long delay might lead to trouble. Knight Sorrow rode the Ice Qilin to the front of the battlefield. 3 million Saint Spirit Stones are here. As long as you return the soul and body of my senior brother's doppelganger, it will be yours. Xie Bing showed the storage ring in his hand. Square root head equals hair. You are really rich. It seems that I asked for too little. But it's okay. Tell Lai Bing to come out. Some things need to be solved by the person involved. Aluo, go and bring that skeleton here. Knight Sorrow turned around and shouted at Dechira. Chapter 1484. I called all of you here today because I wanted to gather as a family and also to celebrate your father and master. Come, little Luo, congratulate your father for entering the Heaven Monarch realm. Mandela poured a cup of wine and handed it to her son. Hearing Dechira's words, everyone in the tent was pleasantly surprised. They couldn't help but stand up. Everyone sit down. We're all family. Make yourselves at home. Knight Sorrow waved his hand for everyone to sit down. Xiaoluo, congratulations on reaching the Heavenly Monarch realm. Yi Xiaoluo's voice was filled with childishness. All right, you rascal. I was going to teach you a lesson. You're so disobedient. I'll let you off today. Knight Sorrow took the wine cup from Yi Xiaoluo's hand and drank it in one gulp. Xiaoluo, be obedient in the future. Yi Xiaoluo nodded. Knight Sorrow didn't scold or be fierce. In the eyes of his children, he was the most important person. His words were the rules. The 4 of you have cultivated well. Your foundations are very stable. Remember, good preparation is the way of the king. Knight Sorrow looked at Yi Qingyan and the others and said. While they were talking, Knight Sorrow felt that something was wrong with his main body. Aluo, I have something urgent to do. Stay with the children. After speaking, Knight Sorrow's clone went to the side to meditate. After his main body appeared, he took the Haoyan godly pagoda and left the camp. Qingyan, protect father. If anything happens, call Grandmaster or Martial Uncle. At this moment, Dechira also realized that something was wrong. Night Sorrow's clone had turned green. She then chased after Night Sorrow's main body and left the camp. When they reached a desolate area, Yishang stopped and turned his head to look at Mandela, who had caught up to him. "Protect me. Although there is no lightning tribulation, other tribulations are coming." At this moment, Night Sorrow's body was covered in green. It wanted to suck everything out of Night Sorrow's body. Seeing Night Sorrow meditating, Dachira's eyes were filled with worry. She understood what was going on. She had never seen the legendary tribulation of wind and fire, but there were records in the ancient books. What appeared on Night Sorrow's face was the sign of a tribulation of wind. Night Sorrow operated his leakless, true body to the extreme, resisting the wind energy that came from outside his body. At this moment, the wind energy that wrapped around him was about to drill into his body and extract the energy and life energy in his body. Dachira held her hollowed-out blade and stared at everything, protecting Night Sorrow. As for Night Sorrow's doppelganger, she wasn't worried because it was a subsidiary. Everything was a reflection of the main body. If the main body could withstand it, then the doppelganger would be fine. The pressure was great. Even with his leakless true body, Night Sorrow still felt a lot of pressure. He then released his nihility will to resist the wind will. The perfect will of nothingness burst forth, and with the power of will, the pressure from the wind calamity was cancelled out, which lessened the pressure on Night Sorrow. He could sense that this was an extreme wind. If it drilled into his body, its destructive power would be terrifying. Night Sorrow resisted with all his strength. The wind tribulation's energy revolved around Night Sorrow's body. Dachira kept watching. The current situation was very grim. The wind tribulation's power was too great, and she couldn't even get close. Within Night Sorrow's tent, Sandalwood had arrived. She had been invited by Night Sorrow. Shiyu and Shitai had also arrived. They had come to chat with Night Sorrow when they encountered this. Why is the wind tribulation of wind and fire so strong? Shitai was puzzled. Sandalwood looked at the two of them. Yes, when we came out of the Ice Dragon realm, we experienced wind tribulation and fire tribulation, but they weren't this strong. They weren't even half as strong as this one. If it's this strong, we'll die, said Shiyu. Junior Apprentice Brother's situation is a bit special. Fortunately, his defenses are stable, said Sandalwood as she looked at Night Sorrow's clone. Night Sorrow was doing his best to resist the wind tribulation's invasion. With the leakless true body protecting him, the nihility will, space-time will, nihility will, nihility will, nihility will, space will, nihility will, time will, and space will to protect him, weakening the wind tribulation's power. At this moment, Qing Emperor and Misty Rain also sensed the disturbance. What's going on? Qing Emperor entered Night Sorrow's tent and looked at Night Sorrow's clone. And he called us to celebrate with Father. We just sat down when something happened to Father. Yi Qingyin's face was filled with anxiety. He's entered the heavenly monarch realm. But even so, he shouldn't have such a tribulation. Legend has it that the wind tribulation and fire tribulation only appears when one reaches the 9th rank, said Misty Rain. That's not important. Guard this place first. Fei Xiao, inform City Lord Tang, Wu Ling Mountain Master, and the others to prepare for battle, said Qing Emperor to Fei Xiao, who was outside the tent. He was worried that Xie Bing and the others would launch an attack after discovering the situation. However, the main tents of the United Forces camp all had illusory formations. Time passed bit by bit. Night Sorrow's condition was very stable because he could prevent the wind tribulation's energy from entering his body. Seeing that Night Sorrow was stable, Dachira also felt at ease. In the past countless years, she had never worried about anyone or been afraid of anything. But now, she was really worried because she cared about Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was her husband and the father of her son. The cyan-like wind energy carried the momentum of heaven and earth and kept sweeping toward Night Sorrow, but it didn't seem to have any effect. Time passed in the confrontation. 1 day, 2 days, and on the morning of the 3rd day, the wind energy dissipated, but the cyan energy was still there. The cyan energy gathered together and turned into a very condensed, milky white halo. This halo rushed toward Night Sorrow's head. Night Sorrow used his energy to defend himself, but in fact, it didn't work. This milky white halo directly entered Night Sorrow's spirit sea. Then, it spread out and merged with Night Sorrow's soul power. The Heavenly Way's reward. Night Sorrow understood that this was the Heavenly Way's reward for successfully passing the wind tribulation. The power of the tribulation was strong, but there was always a limit. Night Sorrow could withstand it, but the Heavenly Way's reward was different. It didn't hurt him and was given by the Heavenly Way. He couldn't refuse it. After feeling his body, Night Sorrow stood up. After standing up, Night Sorrow felt awkward for a moment. The robe on his body turned into nothingness. This was caused by the energy impact. Yong Jio, I free 5 fee read you novel after taking out a set of clothes and putting it on. Night Sorrow looked at Dechira. Okay, the power of this wind tribulation is very strong, but I can still withstand it. It's okay now. Dechira looked at Night Sorrow from head to toe. It's okay. I just ruined the celebration banquet you prepared for me. Night Sorrow stepped forward and held Dechira's hand. At this time, Night Sorrow's clone also stood up. Master's wife, you are all here. You successfully broke through. Why didn't you tell us and let us celebrate? Qing Emperor looked at Night Sorrow with eyes full of praise. Night Sorrow's achievement made him very happy. The banquet isn't over yet. Let's continue. Junior brother, we must drink well today, Sandalwood said. Of course. Night Sorrow's main body entered the tent and merged with his clone. Chapter 1485. Haha, everyone is here. Night Sorrow's matter has troubled everyone. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at everyone. Then, everyone brought the banquet outside the tent. In addition, Qing Emperor Tang Jianfeng and Heaven Lord Shenwu ordered that the Alliance Army would celebrate today. Of course, they didn't say the reason because it wasn't necessary. It was enough for the higher-ups to know the reason. Night Sorrow, you used to call me Uncle Tang, but you can't anymore. I toast you with this wine to thank you. Tang Jianfeng stood up and held the wine bowl. Heaven Lord had a high status. Unless it was a very close senior or junior, everyone else was treated as equals. It's not like that. I remember clearly that the first time I came to the Black-Yellow Great World, I wanted to visit Uncle Tang. During this time, we were fighting against the Devil Blood Domain. Before joining the camp, I called you City Lord Tang, Night Sorrow said. Haha, that's not important. The most important thing for me now is to feel comfortable. If they don't like it, they can fight again, Heaven Lord Shenhu said with a smile. Everyone was happy, so they drank more wine. Night Sorrow was in a good mood. After taking this step, his ability would be greatly improved, and he would be able to solve some problems. After the banquet, Night Sorrow's original body went to the Haotian Godly Pagoda to understand and familiarize himself with the new realm. Since he had a new realm, he had to improve his combat strength. His doppelganger cultivated his combat skills in the illusion formation he had set up. After comprehending his willpower to perfection, Night Sorrow's attack power and unique skill power increased again. The Alliance army calmed down. The higher-ups were confident and their aura was different. Naturally, the soldiers felt the same. After cultivating for half a month, Night Sorrow's doppelganger took the 9 regions origin bead from his original body and told Dechira about it. After arriving at the Black-Yellow City, he was teleported to the 9 regions world. At this moment, the 9 regions world had arrived at the predetermined area. Night Sorrow wanted to take a look. The 9 regions origin bead was with Night Sorrow and not in the world. The world origin bead's detection range was limited. After arriving at the 9 domain world, Night Sorrow first accompanied his parents and wife to chat for a while. After his family members went to cultivate, Night Sorrow sailed the boat alone in the large lake. The bright moon hung high in the sky. Night Sorrow could still remember the past. Back then, he had often come here to find the feeling of returning to his original self. Looking at the bright moon in the sky, Night Sorrow knew that it was the Shaoyin astral realm, which was above countless space worlds. The Shaoyin astral realm and the Sun astral realm were the two most special space worlds. They were the extremes of yin and yang. After drinking a jar of wine, Knight Sorrow rested on the small boat. Just like a normal person, he lay on the deck chair, covered with a blanket, and enjoyed the night breeze. YXS Initial 4D Sync after dawn. Knight Sorrow took the teleportation array to 9 Region City and then went to the heaven-sealing Great Hall. Knight Sorrow did not get a title anymore. Back then, he had gotten the title of Endless Saint King. Later, because the 9 Regions world was not a high-level world, he could not continue to get the title of king, so he did not continue to care about it. The 9 Regions' origin body seemed to know what Knight Sorrow was thinking and gave him an answer. Knight Sorrow, I can get the title of Immortal King for you now. However, it is meaningless. You have the potential to become immortal. The fact that you can fight a half-step emperor proves this point. The title of immortal is very domineering. Knight Sorrow smiled and entered the heaven-sealing Great Hall. When he reached the top floor, he used his soul power to activate the 9 Regions' origin bead. Then let's start investigating. I'll use my soul power to help you, Knight Sorrow said. The 9 Regions' origin body could investigate the surroundings on its own, but with Knight Sorrow's help, the range would be even larger. You and the 9 Regions world complement each other. I can protect your Divine Sea's soul, and you can also give the 9 Regions world stability. Even if your lifespan reaches the end of the Great Calamity, the 9 Regions world can still woo you. The 9 Regions origin body floated out of the origin bead. You're not afraid of the Great Calamity? Knight Sorrow looked at the 9 Regions origin body with some surprise. Other spatial worlds might be afraid of the Great Calamity, but this body is not, because you are the host, said the 9 Regions origin body. Then can't the other world origins recognize a master and find a host to avoid the Great Calamity? Knight Sorrow asked, how could it be that easy? When a world is Great Calamity, the world's origin will violently tremble. Ordinary hosts will be shattered by the chaotic wills and laws. Only one kind of person can resist it. Only cultivators with supreme attributes can restrain and suppress the wills and laws brought about by the Great Calamity. Moreover, they must be a high-level king or above. Only such a will can resist the damage caused by the Great Calamity, said the 9 Regions origin body. So that's how it is. Then I understand. After hearing the 9 Regions origin body's explanation, Knight Sorrow understood the principle. If you weren't the realm master of the 9 Regions world, the other world origins would fight to recognize you as their master. You were born in the 9 Regions world. This is a blessing for this body, as well as for the millions of life forms in the 9 Regions world. The 9 Regions world is a newborn world and is far from being destroyed. Of course, when that day comes, we can deal with it. We can transfer life forms to other worlds. After the world is destroyed, this body can create a new spatial world. At that time, we can return and start anew. The 9 Regions origin body explained the future of the 9 Regions world. I understand. Let's start investigating the surrounding situation. After saying that, Knight Sorrow's spiritual force erupted and entered the 9 Regions origin bead. At this time, no one could see that outside the 9 Regions world's barrier, light waves of energy were radiating in all directions, radiating into the boundless chaotic space. The origin energy of a high-level world was extremely powerful. Now that Knight Sorrow had activated the 9 Regions origin bead and mobilized the entire world's origin energy, its probing power was extremely powerful. In one day, 2 days, the world's origin energy spread out without limit. 5 days later, the probing ended. Knight Sorrow also drew a spatial world layout diagram. Knight Sorrow and the 9 Regions world's origin body looked at the layout diagram together and then circled it. The origin energy of these worlds is very powerful. When our world's origin energy probed over, it was directly repelled and scattered. I feel that the aura is even stronger than that of a great world. The 9 Regions world's origin body pointed at the layout diagram and said, "It's not a big problem. This time, We've probed a very large distance. These worlds are relatively far away. They are even in the periphery of the primal chaos realm. Night Sorrow said. This time, he and the Nine Regions world's origin body had probed a very large area. Their world's origin energy had even gone beyond the primal chaos realm and probed the three great worlds. Because of Night Sorrow's aura, the origin energy of the three great worlds did not repel them. There's no problem with our current location. Even if there's a problem, the other three great worlds will bear the brunt of it. The Nine Regions world's origin body said. All right, in the future, the Nine Regions world will develop at full speed here. Even if there is a tribulation to become a great world, we will be able to resist it. The number of experts in the Nine Regions world will also increase. No matter what pressure comes, there won't be a problem. Night Sorrow let out a breath. He was now very confident in facing everything. Chapter 1492. Senior, am I strong enough now? Night Sorrow was pleasantly surprised when he heard what the original body of the Xuanhuan Great World had said. Sage, I'm the Merit Great Sage and a powerful Lord of Heaven with supreme attributes. You should be able to pass it, but you might encounter some trouble. These are all secrets. When an expert appears and has the chance to reach the Emperor Realm, the three worlds' origins in the chaotic realm will tell them. Two powerful practitioners appeared in the Shenwu Great World and the Samsara Great World, but they didn't succeed and were forced to retreat. They chose other ways to leave the chaotic realm, but their current situation is unknown. The original body of the Xuanhuan Great World said, Human Sovereign and Blood Saber Sage. Night Sorrow thought of them when he heard the two outstanding practitioners mentioned by the original body of the Xuanhuan Great World. It's them. They reached the peak of the Lord of Heaven, but they didn't comprehend the momentum. Although Sage didn't comprehend the momentum, his fighting intent is the prototype of the momentum. In addition, Sage's body is so strong that he can withstand some turbulent astral winds and even the wind and fire tribulations in the passage. The original body of the Xuanhuan Great World said, I heard that there was a practitioner who tried to break through to the ninth stage of the Emperor Realm in the Chaotic Realm, but he died because he couldn't withstand the wind and fire tribulations. It doesn't seem to conform to the rules, Night Sorrow said. I know about it. He was an evil practitioner who mainly cultivated doppelgangers. After his doppelgangers were completed, his original body self-destructed. Then his soul took over an unborn baby's body and continued to cultivate doppelgangers. He planned to merge with his doppelgangers and break through the critical point. It's true that he wanted to prove his Tao by strength, but what he did was not tolerated by the way of heaven, so he was destroyed. The Xuanhuan Great World explained the reason for the previous incident to Night Sorrow. I see. Then I'll ask you a few more questions. What does it mean to prove one's Tao by strength? Night Sorrow noticed the words prove one's Tao by strength. Sage always grasps the key points. If you want to become an emperor, you must control the general trend of heaven and earth. The general trend of heaven and earth is the control of the Tao. There were generally two ways to grasp the Tao. The first way was to go with the flow, which was to slowly understand and control the rules, the will, and the momentum of the world. The other way was to break through with brute force, which was to prove one's Tao with strength. Using strength to prove one's Tao is to break through the rules and break through the critical point. In fact, the sage monarchs have these two kinds of potential. There's no need to talk about taking advantage of the situation, as the sage monarchs are walking on this path. When the sage monarchs refine their body, if the energy in their body can break through the rules and break the general trend, then they will reach the Emperor Realm. The mysterious yellow origin body patiently explained to Night Sorrow. So that's how it is. Junior will first go and settle the matters of the Devil Blood domain. When I return, I will slowly discuss the details with Senior. At that time, I hope Senior won't find it troublesome. Night Sorrow stood up and said, All right, but wait a moment. I have something to give you, Sage. You should know that there is a heavenly law artifact in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Every time the Heaven and Earth Pavilion opens, Many cultivators come for the Heavenly Law artifact. There is a Heavenly Law artifact in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. The mysterious yellow Great World's origin body said, "Didn't you say that as long as you pass through the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, there will always be a suitable Heavenly Law artifact? Why is there only one?" Knight's Sorrow asked. "It's like this. The actual body of this Heavenly Law artifact is an inner armor called the mysterious yellow armor. Before it recognizes an owner, it can take any form. However, the strongest form is the armor. Not only can it protect the upper body, it can also protect the spirit sea. Now, I will give it to the Sage Monarchs." The mysterious yellow world's origin body took out a silver-white soft armor and placed it on the table in front of it. "Is this appropriate?" Knight's Sorrow was stunned for a moment. The mysterious yellow armor will belong to the Sage Monarchs sooner or later. Last time, the Sage Monarchs did not take it and chose the Heavenly Law flower. However, the mysterious yellow armor has intersected with the mysterious yellow armor in fate. This time, the Sage Monarchs fought for the mysterious yellow Great World and won the Realm War. The mysterious yellow armor is most suitable for the Sage Monarchs. The mysterious yellow world's origin body pushed the mysterious yellow armor in front of Knight's Sorrow. "Senior, I still have some questions. What is the difference between a Heavenly Law artifact and an origin artifact?" Knight's Sorrow asked. He had always been confused about this question. Then, the mysterious yellow world's origin body explained the difference between a Heavenly Law artifact and an origin artifact to Knight's Sorrow. At the beginning of a world, a Heavenly Law artifact would be born in the most special area, where the will and law were the strongest and the spirit chi was the densest. The Heavenly Law artifact would be born and grow for a longer period of time. The older the world, the more mature the Heavenly Law artifact would be, and the more powerful it would be. Among the Chaos Realm, the reincarnation world had existed for the longest time. Therefore, the Heavenly Law artifact, the Haotian Godly Pagoda, nurtured by the reincarnation world, was the most powerful. The mysterious yellow armor of the mysterious yellow world was also very mature. Its defensive power was tyrannical. On the other hand, the Heavenly Law artifact born in the Shinwu Great World was discovered and taken away by Lord of Heaven Shunhu before it had matured. In comparison, it was the worst. The origin artifact was related to the origin of a world. It was the origin artifact that the origin artifact blessed the weapon or armor with the power of the origin. The origin artifact had its limitations. There was a certain difference between it and the Heavenly Law artifact. Of course, it also depended on which world the Heavenly Law artifact was born in and whether it was mature. The Haotian Godly Pagoda was born in the reincarnation world. The reincarnation world involved the ultimate meaning of life and death. It was the reincarnation between life and death. The space-time Tao it displayed was very strong. Therefore, the Haotian Godly Pagoda was strong in space-time. Cool K read HH novels for free forever. "Do you understand now?" The mysterious yellow world's origin body asked Knight's Sorrow. "Junior understands." Knight's Sorrow nodded. After listening to the explanation of the mysterious yellow world's origin body, he understood. Then Knight's Sorrow took the mysterious yellow armor and left mysterious Yellow City, returning to the Nine Regions world. Knight's Sorrow first placed the Haotian Godly Detective's secondary body in the city in the sky and told his parents and wife about it. At the same time, he put away the spatial treasure that could accelerate time by 5 times. Knight's Sorrow planned to give it to New Lin for the soldiers of the Nine Heavens Legion to use. After solving the problem of the Haotian Godly Pagoda's secondary body, Knight's Sorrow took out the mysterious yellow armor to recognize it as its master. After dripping blood on it and refining it with his soul power, Knight's Sorrow understood how powerful the mysterious yellow armor was. The mysterious yellow armor was a mature Heavenly Law artifact in the form of an inner armor. Not only could it protect the internal organs and dantian, but it could also protect the spirit sea and soul. When cultivators above the King Realm fought, they would usually attack the spirit sea and dantian if they wanted to injure their opponent. The other parts were useless. So what if you chopped off a leg? The opponent would still fly away. The mysterious yellow armor was an inner armor. It was neither flashy nor flashy, but its defense was very comprehensive. Night Sorrow sensed that the mysterious yellow armor's defense had already surpassed the Haotian godly pagodas. It wasn't that the mysterious yellow armor was of a higher level than the Haotian godly pagoda. It was just that the two specialized in different areas. The Haotian godly pagoda leaned towards supporting cultivation and defense, while the mysterious yellow armor specialized in defense. That was why its defense was extremely tyrannical. Night Sorrow's main body's defense had never been a problem. With the 9 regions, Origin Bead protecting his spirit sea, and the Haotian godly pagoda protecting his body, the defense was perfect. However, his avatar's defense was a bit lacking. In other words, Night Sorrow only had one set of defensive treasures. Chapter 1496. The leader of the Devil Blood region, the Magic Dragon General, was an evil dragon from a branch of the dragons. He called himself the Magic Dragon. His 2 disciples, Lai Bing and Xie Bing, led the army. He also had a daughter who had awakened her bloodline. She was the princess of the Devil Blood region, Dragon Lady. She knew the dragon language. The Magic Dragon General was a branch of the dragons, but his daughter had awakened a pure dragon bloodline. She had been a Lord of Heaven for a long time. She had been in seclusion for the past few years. She wanted to be half a step away from becoming an emperor. She was strong in combat, but her realm was not high enough. Tian Lan used to be Dragon Lady's guard. He later joined the army. He felt that if he made a contribution, Dragon Lady might help him when she came out of seclusion and learned about his current situation. Tian Lan, this matter depends on you. We can only solve this problem if the princess shows up, Tianju said. Night Sorrow listened and knew that these blood-armored warriors were transformed by Xie Bing through special means. After Tianju and the other 2 returned to their respective positions to meditate, Night Sorrow moved the Haotian godly pagoda slightly and left the area. After reaching the safe area, Night Sorrow flashed out of the Haotian godly pagoda. Then, he brought Dechira out as well. You heard what they said, right? Their bodies have merged with something special. I can feel that it contains very strong energy. It is very violent. Their body's defense is also very strong. Night Sorrow said. He had asked Little Kong to open up the isolation of the Haotian godly pagoda to Dechira. Therefore, Dechira knew about the conversation and situation of Tianju and the other 2. However, he did not know as clearly as Night Sorrow. They did use some tricks. Dechira nodded. The Mad Blood Evil Stone is something they merged with their bodies. I don't know what it is. Also, they mentioned a Dragon Lady Princess. She should be a key figure, Night Sorrow said. That's right. Those 3 Heaven Monarchs are Xie Bing subordinates. They are counting on this Dragon Princess to solve their predicament. This means that this Dragon Princess's status is at least equal to Xie Bing and Lai Bing, or even higher. Dechira shared his analysis. Night Sorrow nodded. He agreed with Dechira's analysis. Let's go to the other cities and investigate the situation. We'll investigate their civilization, strength, and organization structure, Night Sorrow said. Dechira smiled. Once we pass through the other party's blockade, we'll just treat it as a vacation. However, it will be difficult to return. It's not difficult at all. The difficulty of our trip here is to enter. If we want to go back, we can just set up a teleportation array, Night Sorrow said with a smile. I forgot about that. I only thought about the wormhole and forgot that you can set up teleportation arrays, Dechira said with a chuckle. Chapter D Section Z on iNet after that. The 2 of them flew away and left the area. An hour later, the 2 of them arrived outside a city. After probing, Night Sorrow looked at Dechira. We have a different image from them. Therefore, we have to be more restrained. That's not difficult. Dechira's body shook and became shorter. The women from the Devil Blood world were petite, while Dechira was tall and had fair skin. The difference was huge. She changed her body and then used death energy to change her skin. You. Night Sorrow looked at her and was a little confused. It's for convenience. Once we go back, I'll change back, Dachira said. Yishang nodded and made his body stronger as well. Actually, our world's men and women are more harmonious. What is this now? Dachira was a little dissatisfied. Night Sorrow pulled Dachira into the city and strolled around. After listening to other people's conversations, Night Sorrow realized that the people of the Devil Blood world spoke the same language as the people of the Primal Chaos world. There were no tea houses in the city. However, there were many restaurants. Night Sorrow and Dachira entered a restaurant and found a quiet corner. Night Sorrow, they speak the same language as us. Back then, Xie Bing and Lai Bing were shouting in the same language as us, Dachira said. In the following month, Night Sorrow and Dachira investigated the Devil Blood world. There were 3 worlds in the Devil Blood world. Each world had a different ruler. Xie Bing and Lai Bing were one of them. The other ruler was the Dragon Princess. The leader of the 3 worlds and the 3,000 worlds in the Devil Blood world was the Magic Dragon General. He was an Emperor-level cultivator and an evil dragon. When the Qing Emperor was injured by the Celestial Sex puppet, he was poisoned by the evil dragon's poison centipede. However, it was only a monarch-level evil dragon. The strongest person in the Devil Blood world was naturally the Magic Dragon General. The second strongest person was not the 2 half-step Emperor-level cultivators, but the Dragon Princess. Talent. The Dragon Princess was very talented, because she had awakened her dragon bloodline, which was of a higher level than her father's, the Magic Dragon General's bloodline. She was very powerful. However, she only stayed in the water world, which was the world she ruled. She did not come out. The Magic Dragon General is very cruel. Lai Bing is a cultivator he subdued, and Xie Bing is his disciple. However, the 2 of them do not dare to go against him, Dachira said. Of course, he has killed his own disciples before. Therefore, even Xie Bing and Lai Bing, who are half-step Emperor-level cultivators, have to obey him, Night Sorrow said. The number of legions is about the same as ours. However, their actual combat power is not as good as ours. Their individual combat power is not bad, but their teamwork is average. The last battle proved this, Dachira said. The key is how strong the Dragon Princess and the Magic Dragon General are. If the 2 of them cannot be restrained, then we have no chance of winning, Night Sorrow said. War was not about one person. However, if they could not kill the strongest person on the other side, then it would be a big problem. Everyone in the Chaos world would have to bear the risk of being killed. What you said makes sense. Then let's go to the water world to play, Dachira said to Night Sorrow. What do you mean? Night Sorrow did not understand. Lai Bing and Xie Bing know us, but the Dragon Princess does not. Let's go to the water world to check out the situation. Let's get in touch with the Dragon Princess first. If she does not see through us, then we will mix around and find out the true strength of the Magic Dragon General from her. If she sees through us, then we will kill her first, Dachira said. At this moment, in the water world of the Devil Blood realm, a woman in blue was sitting on a large chair in a luxurious palace. She was listening to the report of her subordinates. The woman's body was straight. Sitting there, she was like a sharp sword with a sharp aura. After listening to the report, the woman opened her closed eyes. 2 rays of light circled in her eyes. You said that Lai Bing's doppelganger was destroyed, and Lai Bing's original body was killed. Yes, Princess. This is the case. We have suffered a great defeat in this realm war, the man who reported the news bowed and said. Chapter 1497. And it's like this. The opponent's strongest expert is a cultivator who has only cultivated for a short period of time. When he killed Lai Bing, he was at the Monarch realm. When he killed Xie Bing, he was at the Heaven Monarch realm. As for the details, this subordinate is not very clear. *T, said the man who bowed to report. He was the city lord of Blackwater City in Blackwater Domain and also the general manager of Blackwater Domain. Go Go and call Tianlan over for your majesty. Isn't he the commander of the Devil Blood Legion? He should be clear about the situation. The lady in the blue dress said. Yes. Hu retreated and went to arrange the orders of the lady in blue. The lady in blue was very famous in the Devil Blood domain. She was the daughter of the Magic Dragon General and was at the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm. In fact, she was the strongest person in the Devil Blood domain after the Magic Dragon General. Hu left the Black Water domain and took the teleportation array to the Demon Blood world. The Devil Blood domain had 3 major world groups: the Demon Blood world, the Black Water world, and the Blood Cloud world. Xia Bing was in charge of the Blood Cloud world group. The Black Water world group was the Black Dragon Lady's territory, and the Demon Blood world had Lai Bing as the domain lord. The domain lord was just a title and the highest authority of a world. It was different from Night Sorrow, who was the Lord of Origin. The highest authority of this domain was the Devil Blood General. Hu arrived at the Demon Blood world and teleported to the Demon Sealing City, where the Void Passage was located. He then went to the Legion camp, where the Void Passage was located. Lai Bing and Xia Bing were recuperating in seclusion. It was the Devil Blood Legion's deputy commander, Shattered Moon, who received Hu. Commander Hu, you are here. Shattered Moon took out a jar of wine and poured a bowl for Hu. The two of them had the same status. Shattered Moon's status in the Blood Cloud world was the same as Hu's in the Blackwater world. It's like this. The princess has come out of seclusion and learned of the defeat of the Realm War. She sent me to find General Tianlan and ask him to report the situation to the princess at the Blackwater Palace. Hu explained the purpose of his visit. Tianlan still has a mission. If you can't do it, I'll go with your commander Hu to report the situation to the princess, said Broken Moon. Hearing Hu mention Tianlan, Shattered Moon's face changed. Originally, Tianlan shouldn't have been involved in refining the Berserker. After the Heavenly Evil Weapon made the decision, Tianlan said a few more words and angered the Heavenly Evil Weapon. Tianlan was added to the refining of the Berserker. If Tianlan resisted, he would be killed, so he could only accept his fate. However, Evil Soldier regretted it soon after. Tianlan was from the Blackwater domain and had been a guard for the Blackwater domain lord. Later, he entered the army and was first a monarch in the Heaven Emanations army. Later, Evil Soldier was lacking in manpower. When the army was mobilized, Tianlan went to the Demon Blood army. After turning Tianlan into a berserker, Evil Soldier couldn't explain it to the Blackwater domain lord, which was the Black Dragon Lady. Evil Soldier planned to go to the Blackwater domain personally to explain it to the Black Dragon Lady. As Evil Soldier's confidant, Broken Moon knew about this. Therefore, she had to take the blame for Evil Soldier. Mission? Hasn't the Realm War already ended? If there's any mission, wait until he reports the situation to the princess. Where is he? Hu didn't respond to Shattered Moon's words at all. He must complete the task that the Black Dragon Lady had entrusted to him. So I'll tell you the truth. You should think about how to deal with it. If it's not handled well, there might be a storm. Broken Moon couldn't hide the truth. Hearing Broken Moon's words, Hu stood up. His face was full of anger. He and Tianlan were friends. After being fused with the Berserker Demon Stone, his body wasn't made of flesh and blood. It was a puppet with intelligence. It was very cruel. You just wait for the princess's anger. In the Demon Blood world, no one dares to treat the princess's people like this. Bring him here. Hu didn't hold back and roared at Broken Moon. Broken Moon sighed. The situation was already very troublesome. If she stopped Hu now, the Black Dragon Lady might kill her way over when he returned. Tianlan, who was wearing a blood-red armor, saw Hu. His body trembled, but he couldn't make any expression because the muscles on his face were out of control. Hu waved his hand and swept the wine bowl in front of him to one side. Tianlan, the princess wants to see you. Come back with me first. Tianlan looked at Broken Moon. In the absence of Evil Soldier and Lie Soldier, Broken Moon was the person in charge here. Go! The commander was a little impulsive this time, but it was also to stabilize the situation. Explain to the princess. If the princess is really angry, things will be very troublesome, Broken Moon said. Broken Moon said. He could only ask Tian Lan to say a few words for evil soldier. He couldn't do anything else. Explain? Your blood cloud world is really something. Let's go. Huhu took Tian Lan and left. Night Sorrow and Dachira took the transmission array to Blackwater World. The two people they wanted to investigate were the Magic Dragon General and the Black Dragon Lady. Everything else didn't matter. With the secret of true body, Night Sorrow and Dachira's aura wasn't very strong, and they wouldn't be discovered by people with bad intentions. After arriving at Blackwater City, the two found an inn to stay in. Night Sorrow and Dachira had already thought about their identity. Their current identity was a secluded cultivator from Blackwater World Group's high-level world, the Heavenly Wind World. Now that they had some achievements in their cultivation, they came out for a walk. This wasn't a random fabrication. Night Sorrow and Dachira went to the Heavenly Wind World to make some false appearances. They even prepared a cultivation cave. At present, Night Sorrow had almost collected the map of Devil Blood World. He had the world map of the world in his hands, so there was no problem with the fabricated identity. Devil Blood World's cultivators had a violent character. They didn't drink tea and only drank wine. Night Sorrow and Dachira also did as the Romans did and drank tea. Aluo, we are already being watched. Someone will probably find us later. We will follow the agreed plan and say that we are here to seek refuge from the Realm Lord, Night Sorrow said. Okay, don't worry. If we are discovered, we will directly fight with that dragon language and see how strong this Demon Blood World's #1 Lord of Heaven is. It would be best if we can kill him, Dachira said. Yes, and also to see the Black Dragon General. If we can contend against him, we will fight to the death with him. After that, we will sneak attack the fierce soldiers and evil soldiers. Then, we can start an all-out war with the army. Night Sorrow nodded. At this moment, in the Blackwater Palace, a woman was standing in front of the throne and bowing to the Black Dragon Princess, Long Yu, who was meditating with her eyes closed. Princess, our Blackwater City has produced 2 experts. They are both Heaven Monarchs, which has never appeared before. 2 Lords of Heaven that have never been seen before? Go and make contact with them and see where they are from. Dragon Language, who was dressed in blue, opened his eyes. Yes, this subordinate understands. The woman left. She was Dragon Language's right-hand subordinate and the commander of the Blackwater City's Imperial Guards. At this time, Hu brought Tian Lan into the Blackwater Palace. Only one F is authentic, the other F are pirated copies. Berserker, Tian Lan, are you crazy? Dragon Language stood up from his seat. Speak. The second chapter has arrived. Thank you to Little Gao Fu and Boss P for unblocking yesterday's chapter. Also, the last week of the Battle of the Kings is also a crucial time. It will end soon. Shizi asked for help. Thank you. Tomorrow, I will get back to everyone and explode. Chapter 1498. Clang. Tian Lan, dressed in blood-red armor, knelt on the ground. Princess, no one would take the initiative to fuse with the Blood Demon Stone. As a Heaven Monarch, how could Tian Lan not know the consequences? Who said, Speak. Dragon Language frowned and sat on the chair. Tian Lan closed his eyes and smashed the ground. Princess, please save Tian Lan. Tell me the situation. What is it? Dragon Language's voice was cold. Tian Lan told her the reason why he became a Blood Demon Warrior. Evil soldiers did become a Blood Demon Warrior in order to stabilize the situation, but they should not have touched Dragon Language's people. If they want to resolve the side effects of the Blood Demon Stone, they need the heart-cleansing Ice Stone. Your Majesty will help you think of a solution. As for the evil soldiers targeting you, they are not giving Your Majesty any face. However, the situation is more important now. It is not suitable to reason with them now. Remember this. Dragon Language thought for a while and said, she was not an irrational person. Evil soldiers forcing Tian Lan to fuse with the Blood Demon Stone was not giving her face, but it was also for the sake of the overall situation. If she want to find trouble with evil soldiers now, it would not benefit the overall situation. Princess, I don't want you to be unhappy with the commander of the evil soldiers. I just want you to regain your freedom, Tianlan said. Fusing with the blood demon stone could increase one's combat power, but the body was no longer flesh and blood. There was no development to speak of. One could say that one had become a monster that only knew how to fight. Thus, no one was willing to do so. Get up. Tell me the details of this realm war, Dragon Language said. Princess, the enemy's army's ability to work together is very strong. They're slightly stronger than our army. The main reason for their failure is that they have a freak. Combat power cannot be measured by cultivation. When he was a monarch, he killed Commander Lai Bing's clone. Although it was unexpected, it also showed his strength. In addition, he broke through to the Heaven Monarch realm in a short time. When he went to battle again, his combat power changed again. The commander of the evil soldiers was crushed in a head-on battle. Forgive me for being blunt, but if he did not run fast enough, he and his clone would have been killed, Tianlan said. In a head-on battle, he was able to kill Lai Bing's clone as a monarch. Now, he is able to crush evil soldier after becoming a heaven monarch. This means that he is truly powerful. He muttered in dragon language. Yes, his attribute is the supreme attribute. Lord Kafou said that this guy is also a merit saint, Tianlan said. Interesting. According to what you said, even your majesty has a 50-50 chance of winning against him. However, your majesty has recently gained some insights. Once your majesty understands it, let's see if he can withstand it. Dragon Language's aura burst forth, and her blue skirt fluttered. Tianlan and Hohu both bowed. They knew that Dragon Language's strength and prestige were not comparable to fierce soldiers and evil soldiers. Tianlan, we have to look at the big picture. You go back first and do whatever you need to do. Take your majesty's token. If anyone makes things difficult for you again, you can take it out. The first time your majesty gave face, the second time your majesty will not be polite. Dragon Language narrowed her eyes and said, I understand. Thank you, princess. Tianlan knew that his problem was solved. As long as Dragon Language took care of it, it was only a matter of time before the side effects of the Blood Demon Stone were resolved. In addition, with Dragon Language's token, even evil soldiers could not make things difficult for him. After Tianlan left, Dragon Language tapped her fingers on the armrest of the chair and pondered. Dragon Language said to Ho, we just suffered a setback and are not suitable to fight again. We are in a hurry, so we are not in a hurry to fight. Inform the Dragon Army to prepare for battle. In addition, go and take a look at the 2 Heaven Monarchs who appear in Water City today. Investigate and find out where they came from. If there is no problem, bring them to the Water Palace. At this moment, in the Alliance camp outside the Void Passage of the Demon Blood World, Broken Moon, an evil soldier reported about Hohu's arrival. This time, I was indeed a little thoughtless. A Heaven Monarch is nothing, but it is not worth it to have a conflict and estrangement with the Dragon Lady. Evil Soldier's voice was a little low. The death of his original body was a huge blow to him because his future was ruined. A few days ago, Evil Soldier was still very worried and afraid that Night Sorrow would deal with him like Lai Bing. However, it was very quiet now, so he was not so worried. Night Sorrow was busy and did not deal with this matter. It was mainly because Evil Soldier, who was left with only one clone, was not a threat to him. At this moment, Tianlan returned. He originally went to the camp to greet Broken Moon, but he was a little surprised to see Evil Soldier. Greetings, Commander. Tianlan bowed and said, You are back. Have a seat. Evil Soldier waved his hand at Tianlan. Thank you, Commander. Tianlan sat down and said, I was a little thoughtless about what happened a while ago. It was mainly because I was killed and the situation was unstable, so I was a little impatient. After this incident, my achievements will stop here. I will be with you in the next battle. After solving the problem of the war, I will help you think of a way. Evil Soldier said. At this moment, he was a little depressed. Thank you, Commander. Tianlan stood up and nodded. I'm not afraid of anyone. It is already like this. Why would I be afraid of anyone? It is just that the war has reached this stage. I am not reconciled, so I don't want to have a conflict with the princess. Evil soldier finished speaking and left the camp. Tianla nodded at Broken Moon and returned to the Void Passage, where he, Tianju, and Tianzheng were guarding. Night Sorrow and Dechira stayed in Water City for 2 days. Huhu came to visit them. Because he did not know much about them, Huhu respected Night Sorrow and Dechira very much. A heaven monarch must be respected. During the conversation, Huhu indirectly asked about Night Sorrow and Dechira's origins. Night Sorrow and Dechira were prepared. They directly said that they were from the Heavenly Wind Realm. They had been cultivating in the Heavenly Wind Realm for many years. This time, they had made some achievements and came out to take a look. Very good. The Water Realm is a macro world and the core of this group of worlds. It is better to develop here. There are more opportunities and opportunities. Huhu said. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. After talking for a while, Huhu left after agreeing to talk another day. After returning to the Water City Lord residence, Huhu sent people to the Heavenly Wind Realm. He wanted to know if Night Sorrow and Dechira's origins were real. Aluo, we made up our origins. If they have a fortune teller, we will be exposed with a divination. Night Sorrow said with a smile. The price of divination is too high. Only untraceable things need to be divined. We told them where we came from. They have places to investigate. When we went to the Heavenly Wind Realm, our preparations were not in vain. Besides, even if they did divination, there would be signs and figures of us in the Heavenly Wind Realm. Dechira said. Night Sorrow nodded. If it was the same as what Dechira said, then there was no problem. Chapter 1499. Night Sorrow nodded. Aluo, let's go out for a walk. Dechira looked at Night Sorrow and smiled. If you want to go, I'll accompany you for a walk. In fact, Night Sorrow didn't want to go for a walk. He brought Dechira out of the city and flew for hundreds of thousands of miles. He set up a low-level teleportation array in a secret place and then took out 2 teleportation array discs. Then, he gave Mandela a copy of the trap and teleportation array discs. You think too much, Dechira said with a smile. It's better to be prepared. It's easy to interfere with a single teleportation array disc. There won't be any drawbacks if you use it with a trap array disc, Night Sorrow said. Understand. I feel safe when I'm with you. You've thought of everything I should and shouldn't think of, Dechira said with a smile. We're confident in ourselves, but once we're exposed, we'll be besieged. Night Sorrow said. The truth was just as he said. They were confident, but once they were exposed, the consequences would be severe. There were many heavenly monarchs in the water domain. Night Sorrow didn't want to use this secret method, but in his words, it was better to be prepared. Then, Night Sorrow and Dechira returned to the inn. As there were no outsiders, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. Although it's a war, it still feels good to come out with you, Dechira said with a smile. QX Section 1 of the new chapter, Be Relax. We're here to look for trouble. There's pressure. They should be the unlucky ones, Night Sorrow said with a smile. That's right. Night Sorrow, let's try to have another child. Dechira blushed. Although I know that there is no difference between your true body and your clone, it is better to be safe than sorry. Don't mess around, Night Sorrow said with a smile, although he was touched and had a desire in his heart. No one knows me better than I do. I wouldn't joke about our happiness. However, it's not really possible for a clone to conceive a child. Come here. Dechira turned around and sat on the bed. Night Sorrow waved his hand and activated an illusion array. Aluo, it's better for you to change back to your original appearance. I haven't seen you for a few days, and my mind is filled with your original appearance. Dechira nodded. His body trembled and returned to its original state. The two of them had not been together for a long time, so they tossed around to their heart's content. For the next 2 days, Night Sorrow and Dechira stayed in the inn. When they had time, they would go out for a walk. Huhu sent people to the Heavenly Wind Domain. When they arrived at the place that Night Sorrow had unintentionally leaked to Huhu, They carefully investigated and then returned to report to Huhu. The situation matched. Huhu reported to Dragon Language. 2 heavenly monarchs. Not bad. If we can keep them in the water domain, it can also increase the strength of the water domain. Bring them to the VIP building. Your Majesty should go and see Lai Bing and Xie Bing. They were in charge of this domain war and suffered heavy injuries. Your Majesty should go and see them. Dragon Language nodded after hearing Huhu's report and then left the water palace. In the inn, Knight Sorrow, who was drinking tea and talking with Dechira, raised his head and looked into the distance. Then he waved his arm and put away the tea set, replacing it with a wine pot and wine bowl. He noticed that Huhu had come. The people of the Devil Blood domain did not drink tea. The fact that Knight Sorrow and Dechira drank tea was a flaw. Huhu came. Knight Sorrow invited Huhu to sit down and poured a bowl of wine for Huhu. There were many things to do these 2 days, and I neglected the 2 of you. The princess already knows about your arrival. However, the princess still has some urgent matters to attend to. Now, I will arrange for the 2 of you to rest in the VIP building. Huhu said very politely. If Knight Sorrow and Dragon Language got along well, then they would work together in the future. Therefore, Huhu felt that there was no harm in being friendly. Thank you for the arrangement. Knight Sorrow raised his wine bowl to Huhu. Then, under the guidance of Huhu, the 3 of them went to the most magnificent VIP building in the Water City. After settling down Knight Sorrow and Dechira and sending people to deliver wine, Huhu left. After leaving the VIP building, Huhu turned around and looked at the VIP building. His eyes were filled with astonishment because he felt the pressure. Huhu was very clear about his cultivation level. He was outstanding even among the Heaven Monarchs. Otherwise, he would not have become the Water City Lord. His position in the water domain was second only to the Dragon Lady and Dragon Language. Although Knight Sorrow and Dechira had restrained their auras, some cultivators had strong instincts. Huhu was certain that Knight Sorrow and Dechira could bring him danger. It seems that they have finished their investigation. The things we arranged worked. They should trust us, Knight Sorrow said as he watched Huhu leave. Dechira nodded. If the other party did not trust them, they would either attack or expel them. If there was no response for 3 days, it must be an investigation. Now that Huhu had invited them to the VIP building in the Water City, it was obviously a show of goodwill after the investigation. We mainly want to see if we can understand the specific strength of the Magic Dragon General through the Dragon Princess Dragon Language. Once we know, we can start the battle. Dechira said. Actually, you don't have to worry. The Magic Dragon General is in the Emperor realm. However, according to the Xinhuang world origin, his aura is not very strong. It is stronger than Lai Bing's. In other words, as long as we are not surrounded, we are not in great danger. We are here to learn more about the other domains. Knight Sorrow said. Since you said so, I am more confident. However, it is hard to say what kind of power an Emperor Realm cultivator has. Dechira still reminded Knight Sorrow, mainly because he was afraid that Knight Sorrow would be careless. Normally, it is easy to fight someone a higher level, but difficult to fight someone of a higher level. Within the same level, the difference is in cultivation and energy. Different ranks are different in realm and quality. Compared to King, Saint King, and Saint King, what they lack is the comprehension of the will of heaven and earth. King has the power of the will of heaven and earth, but he cannot resist the suppression of the will of heaven and earth. The difference between King, Monarch, Lord of Heaven, and Emperor Realm cultivators is the control of the will of heaven and earth. Knight Sorrow explained the difference between the ranks. That's right. If you cannot resist the suppression of the special power of the next rank, you cannot fight. You have the will of battle on your body. Immature will of heaven and earth is useless against you, so you can kill Evil Bing and Lai Bing's doppelganger. Dechira said. Aluo, do you know that in our Chaos Realm, you have the highest potential to become an emperor? Knight Sorrow said. My potential to become an emperor is the highest. Dechira looked at Knight Sorrow with some surprise. Yes, Your potential to become an emperor is the highest, but it is not enough. Of course, this is the situation before. Now, the black-yellow Great World's origin is saying that it can't see clearly. I think it must be the effect of the mandala lily being killed. This effect should be your capital to reach the emperor's throne. Knight Sorrow nodded. Chapter 1500. And L equals J underscore and L equals and unsealed. I didn't say that I didn't have the aptitude to become an emperor. Of course I can do it. Knight Sorrow smiled. Knight Sorrow then said that what the Chaos Realm lacked now was to break the shackles. If they couldn't do that, it would be useless no matter how high their aptitude was. Didn't the origin of the Xianhuang world say that we have a passage to the celestial realm? Then there won't be a problem. Dechira was more excited. Yes, we know that there should be more than one passage. Yuan Dao Heaven has one too. However, we need to solve the problem of the realm war first, Knight Sorrow said. Dechira nodded. She knew that the realm war was very important and would affect the Nine Regions world. The Nine Regions world had already moved to the core of the Chaos Realm. The outbreak of the realm war might not hurt the Nine Regions world, but it would affect the situation. Dragon language arrived at the Demon Blood world and was near the wormhole. Sensing the arrival of dragon language, Xie Bing and Lai Bing came out of seclusion and welcomed her into the command tent. After cultivating in the time acceleration treasure for a few years, Lai Bing's doppelganger had recovered and his soul had returned to its original position. However, Xie Bing was still in a bad state. Princess, I'm very sorry about the Tianlan incident. The situation that day was a little special, Xie Bing said. Your Majesty is very unhappy about this matter. However, we need to consider the big picture now. Dragon language sat down and glanced at Xie Bing. Xie Bing nodded. He knew that dragon language wouldn't make things difficult for him. You are half-step emperors while the strongest cultivator on the other side is a heavenly lord. Why did you lose so badly? Dragon language asked. The other side has an anomaly. Our realm force of heaven and earth suppression is ineffective against him. Therefore, half-step emperors have no advantage against him. Lai Bing shook his head helplessly. When he was at the monarch realm, he already had fighting spirit. The suppression of the force of heaven and earth before he reached the half-imperial realm is useless against him. He has the body of merit. The most terrifying thing is that he has the legendary sovereign attribute, Xie Bing added. Sovereign attribute, destruction or nihility. Dragon language's eyes lit up as if he had seen his prey. Nothingness. It's the void attribute, and it also has the will of time and space. To be honest, even if we understand it, we won't be a match for it. Lai Bing sighed. The sense of defeat this time was too strong, and it was a huge blow to him. Very good. Your Majesty wants to clash with him and see how powerful the void attribute is. Is it as domineering as the destruction attribute? Dragon language's aura rippled. As long as we take him down, we can win the realm war, Lai Bing said. Wait. Now that the army has just been defeated, immediately starting a war is not good for our morale. Let's get through this buffer period first. Dragon language expressed his thoughts. She then took a look at Xie Bing, threw him a bottle of pills, and left. She couldn't comfort Xie Bing because mentioning it was like rubbing salt on his wound. P update L new. The fastest 6 fast F cool 1 craftsman $H network. Even if a cultivator's achievements were not high, there was still hope as long as they worked hard. No one could be certain about their future achievements. However, his true body was destroyed, and his achievements were fixed. He wouldn't be able to make any more progress. Senior brother, what do you think of the chances of Princess winning against Knight Sorrow? Xie Bing looked at Lai Bing and asked. Much higher than us. Princess, and here the same kind of people. Generally speaking, a realm will only give birth to one supreme cultivator. We are not, so our foundation is not enough. Junior brother, you don't have to be too depressed. If you can't increase your realm, I will collect secret techniques for you to increase your combat strength, Lai Bing said. Xie Bing nodded. In his current situation, he could only focus on increasing his combat strength. Night Sorrow and Dechira stayed in the VIP tower in Blackwater City. Sometimes they would go out for a walk, so they had some understanding of Blackwater City and Blackwater World. The Blackwater World group, or rather, the entire Devil Blood world, had maximized the concept of the strong being respected. There was no concept of coexistence. In the Blackwater World group, Black Dragon Lady's dragon language was the absolute authority. There were many forces in the Blackwater World group, but all the heavenly monarchs worked in Blackwater City and had to listen to the dragon language. Those who disobeyed would die. There are no less than 10 heavenly monarchs in Blackwater City. The forces in Blackwater World should be stronger than the Demon Blood World and the Blood Cloud World, Dechira said. Black Dragon Lady's dragon language has a high status in the Devil Blood World. First, she is powerful and has strong leadership. Secondly, she is the daughter of the Magic Dragon General. For us, the difficulty of the Realm War lies in whether we can deal with the Magic Dragon General and Black Dragon Lady. As for the Army War, as long as the tactics and strategies are reasonable, it will not be difficult, Night Sorrow said. I'm guessing that she will look for us soon. I'm guessing that she wants to take us under her wing. We've seen how she does things, said Mandela as she looked at Yishang. She wanted to know how Yishang would deal with this matter. We will not do things that are humiliating. Although it is for the war and for the chaos realm, to submit to others will damage our luck. We do not need to do that, Night Sorrow said. He had never thought of being a spy under Black Dragon Lady. He came here to see Black Dragon Lady's strength. Night Sorrow and Dechira appeared as heavenly monarchs of the heavenly wind realm. They had the qualifications to talk to Black Dragon Lady directly. This was much better than secretly investigating, because if they were discovered, it would be a direct war. It was not in line with the current situation to start a war in advance without investigating clearly. Okay, if we can't come to an agreement, we will leave. If she does not let us leave, then we will fight. If not, we will run. There is nothing to worry about. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Dechira smiled because Night Sorrow's decision resolved her worries. This time, everything was focused on Night Sorrow. However, there were some things that Dechira was not willing to do. For example, being a spy and working under Black Dragon Lady was unacceptable to her. Aluo, you're my wife. In my heart, you're the most noble. How can I let you, including me, do something that is humiliating? No one in the world has the right to do that, Night Sorrow said. Yes, without pride, how can we stand in the world? We are not inferior to anyone, so we do not have to look at anyone's face. The Heavenly Tao will not care for people with inferior souls. This is not wrong. Dechira nodded. She and Night Sorrow had the same philosophy on this point. I understand what you said. I will not do anything that will make my heart and soul uneasy. I also believe that as long as we work hard, no one can suppress us. Night Sorrow held Dechira's hand and said, Some words are suitable for you, but what about me? I have been working hard, but I am still suppressed by you. Dechira looked at Night Sorrow and said slowly, What nonsense are you talking about? What are you thinking about? I really have to hand it to you. Yishan was speechless. After Dragon Language returned from the Demon Blood world, he summoned Hohu and asked about Night Sorrow and Dechira's situation again. I have. There is no problem. Those two are very strong. Hohu said, Search for Cool Craftsman on WeChat. Follow the name of the new work. Read the full text. L equals and said. Chapter 1501. You mean they're very strong? Dragon Language frowned. SS. Yes, they look very ordinary, but this subordinate feels a sense of danger. This subordinate has only felt this kind of feeling from a few people before. Hohu said with certainty, Tell me about it. Dragon Language nodded at Hohu. In the Blackwater domain, Hohu was the strongest heaven monarch other than herself. Dragon Language admitted this. If Hohu felt a sense of danger, it was not simple. I have this feeling from the princess, the chief, and the two commanders Xie Bing and Lai Bing. It is my intuition, Hohu said after thinking for a while. Haha, interesting, It seems like there's going to be a battle. Dragon language laughed. What do you mean, princess? Hohu was a little confused. Do you think it is reasonable for two strong heaven monarchs to suddenly appear? If they are ordinary heaven monarchs, it makes sense. Your intuition shows that they are on the same level as your majesty, Xiebing, and Liebing. How can such strength be unknown? Who are you trying to fool? Dragon language snorted. Princess, do you mean that the troops from the primal chaos domain have arrived? After listening to Dragon language's explanation, Hohu understood what Dragon language was trying to say. If your intuition is accurate, then it is correct. Xiebing is a piece of trash. He brought people to watch the void passageway. How can he not know that someone has snuck in? Dragon language scolded. Princess, my intuition is a gift. It is not wrong. Hohu nodded. That will do. Gather the troops and besiege the VIP tower. Your majesty will kill them. Your mission is to not let them escape. Dragon language gave the order. Hohu went to make the arrangements. Dragon language wiped the battle sword in his hand. Then, he flashed out of the Blackwater Palace and flew towards the VIP tower. At this time, the Heaven Monarchs in the Blackwater City had already gathered there. In the VIP building of Blackwater City, Knight Sorrow, who was drinking tea, raised his head and said, Aloe, prepare for battle. I don't know what went wrong, but I was discovered. A great battle is unavoidable. Remember, don't resist my spiritual energy. When it's about time, I'll take you into the clear sky divine pagoda, and we'll leave immediately. This is really strange. This shouldn't be happening. Dechira muttered, but she wasn't worried. If Knight Sorrow wanted to leave, it would be difficult for the other party to stop him. Knight Sorrow and Dechira returned to their original appearances and walked out of the VIP room. At this moment, there were Heaven Monarchs and their men waiting around the VIP building. Knight Sorrow did not move. He was here to witness the strength of the Black Dragoness dragon language. If he left now, it would be meaningless. Hohu stood at the main entrance of the VIP building with two Heaven Monarchs. Good eyesight. Knight Sorrow, only wanted to secretly investigate, but I didn't escape Brother Knight Sorrow's eyes. Knight Sorrow would like to thank Brother Hu for the wine. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands towards Hohu. No matter what, Hohu was very courteous both times he visited, so Knight Sorrow had to give a response. It's not that this city lord has good eyesight. It's that this city lord has a strong sense of danger. Hohu said, Good style. At this moment, Dragon Language, who was wearing a blue battle suit, appeared. Ha, not bad. Knight Sorrow greets Princess. Knight Sorrow smiled and cupped his hands towards Dragon Language, who was floating in the air. Dragon Language landed in front of the VIP building and asked Knight Sorrow and Dechira, Why don't you run? Why run? I came this time to see Black Dragoness Dragon Language's style. If I leave without seeing it, wouldn't I lose the meaning of coming? Knight Sorrow said. He had no intention of leaving. It's rare to see such style. Let's not talk about anything else. Your Majesty should prepare the wine first. Dragon Language instructed the people beside him. No need. Knight Sorrow, will treat Princess to tea. Knight Sorrow waved his arm and a tea table appeared. Knight Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and then waved his arm. 2 cups of tea flew out. One went towards Dragon Language and the other went to Ho. Then he handed a cup to Mandela and picked up a cup for himself, slowly taking a sip. Actually, Knight Monarch can visit directly. There's no need to go through so much trouble. Hohu, Your Majesty also needs to drink tea in the future. Dragon Language took a sip of tea and said, It's not appropriate to visit directly now. After all, it's wartime. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. You killed Evil Soldier's original body and Lai Bing's doppelganger? Dragon Language looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. He was the only one who did it? Stolen edition. Yes. I heard that Princess Dragon Language is the #1 Heaven Monarch in the Devil Blood domain. Her battle strength is second only to the Chief Magic Dragon General. Knight Sorrow came to take a look. Knight Sorrow nodded. I won't disappoint you. Originally, everyone who comes is a guest, but during wartime, there's no other way. Dragon Language Princess said, Yes, During wartime, we can talk about wartime matters. Since we've talked and drunk the tea, let's fight. Knight Sorrow waved his hand and put away the tea set and tea table. Your Majesty has drunk your tea, but you haven't drunk your Majesty's wine. Dragon Language waved his arm, and 2 jars of wine flew in front of Knight Sorrow and Dechira. Knight Sorrow and Dechira didn't stand on ceremony and drank it directly. Since the other party was gracious, they didn't mind. You guys are very gracious and bold. You didn't mention any war or denounce us. Your Majesty didn't want to explain the war either. In fact, at our level, everyone knows that there's no reason in this world. It's all about whose fist is bigger. After the war, if we're all alive, your Majesty will treat us to wine here. Dragon Language said, Sure, come on. It's best not to let them attack. It's useless. Knight Sorrow looked at the heaven monarchs surrounding him and said, How should I put it? Your Majesty doesn't expect them to do anything to Knight Sorrow Monarch. As long as Knight Sorrow Monarch doesn't leave before defeating your Majesty, they won't attack. Dragon Language thought for a moment and said, Good. Knight Sorrow laughed. Dragon Language meant that they didn't want him to run. As long as Knight Sorrow ran, they would attack him. Let me introduce myself formally. I'm the Blackwater Domain Lord, Dragon Language. After Dragon Language finished his self-introduction, he opened his arm and a black battle blade appeared in his hand. I'm Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow only said his name. At the same time, he reached out with his right hand and took some Sara in his hand. His eyes looked straight at Dragon Language. Knight Sorrow knew that the next battle would be between him and the core experts of Devil Blood Domain. If he could win, then the Domain War would be much easier. If only one Magic Dragon General was stronger than him, then his original body and doppelganger would be a deterrent to the other members of the opponent. At this time, Dragon Language's aura exploded. A set of black battle armor appeared outside his blue robe. The energy aura rippled in all directions. Hu and the others also retreated. Seeing the energy erupting from Dragon Language, Knight Sorrow was stunned. Destruction, it was destruction energy. It was much stronger than Sandalwood's destruction energy. Knight Sorrow understood why Dragon Language was ranked higher than Fierce Soldier and Evil Soldier, even though he wasn't a half-step emperor. It was because his attributes were strong. The willpower in his attributes could resist some of the suppression of the world. Majestic battle intent burst forth. After using the virtuous immortal body to protect himself, Knight Sorrow stretched out his right hand and pointed some Sara at Dragon Language. Speak. The second chapter has arrived. Thank you, Brother Zhang, ZZ, and Shuei Jing for unlocking yesterday's chapter. Today's outburst is to thank everyone for their support. Minimum chapter, target 10 chapters. Well, I'm going to sleep now, After an all-nighter, I'm awake to edit the 3 p.m. update. Chapter 1504. They haven't left yet. They're acting like bosses, even ordering their servants to prepare good wine, Hu said. That Knight Sorrow is very strong. Your Majesty is no match for him. That's something you have to admit. Xie Bing and Lai Bing are even worse. They were lucky to be able to come back alive from the realm of chaos, Dragon Language said. Then what do we do? Are we really going to withdraw from the realm war? Hu asked. What else can we do? Your Majesty can't possibly go back on her words. Your Majesty has already fallen. Dragon Language glared at Hu. I understand, but they're going to start a realm war. They'll fight to the death with the head of the realm. The princess will be in a difficult position, Hu said. What he said was also what Knight Sorrow and Dechira were worried about. Do you know why your Majesty left the Demon Blood world after breaking through to become a king? It's because your Majesty's bloodline awakened when she became a king. After her bloodline awakened, she learned some things. If you weren't involved, you would never understand. Take your Majesty's memory crystal ball and send it to the Magic Dragon Palace. Dragon Language took out a crystal ball and recorded some words in front of Hu. She said that if the Demon Blood world was destroyed, or if something else happened, the Magic Dragon Palace should come to the Water World. Hohu held the crystal ball and looked at Dragon Language, still confused. Why do you have so many ideas? The head of the realm is an Emperor Realm cultivator. It's fine if he can be killed, but if he can't win, he can at least retreat. Just do as your majesty says, Dragon Language said. After Hohu left, Dragon Language closed her eyes and began to ponder. There were many things that she had been hiding in her heart all this time. The most important thing was the secret that she had learned after awakening her bloodline. Dragons were orthodox dragons. Other dragons might have the bloodline of dragons, but not the evil dragon. The evil dragon was an anomaly among dragons. Their bloodline had already mutated, so the offspring of the evil dragon could only be an evil dragon. The Dragon Language didn't know where she really came from, but she definitely didn't have the bloodline of the magic dragon general. So after entering the king's realm, she left the demon blood world. Long Yu left the devil blood great world and went to the water great world to cultivate in seclusion. After rising up, she became the strongest expert in the water great world and ruled over a world. However, this was not her goal. Her goal was to become an Emperor Realm cultivator. Only then could she investigate some things. While Night Sorrow and Dachira were drinking tea, Dragon Language arrived in a loose blue robe. Look at Chapter S5. Section E. I heard from my subordinates that you are like a big boss and very hard to serve. Dragon Language sat across from Night Sorrow and Dachira. The wine is not nice, and you don't let people talk about it? Dachira said with some dissatisfaction. Hee, it seems like the princess is in a good state. Night Sorrow said with a smile. What else can I do? Do you think I can't live if I cry every day after losing once? Dragon Language took the teapot in front of Night Sorrow and poured a cup of tea for herself. Night Sorrow didn't say anything. He knew that Dragon Language came today because she had something to say. Dragon Language looked at Night Sorrow, but Night Sorrow didn't say anything. Isn't it just winning once? What's so great about that? Didn't you say your majesty can make decisions for the Chaos Realm? Dragon Language asked when Night Sorrow didn't say anything. Sort of. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, Sort of? What do you mean, sort of? Your majesty has to listen carefully. Dragon Language frowned when he heard Night Sorrow's words, because Night Sorrow said that there was no way to continue the conversation. The matters of the primal chaos realm should be discussed by everyone. No one can directly make the decisions. Of course, if others don't listen to my opinion, I can choose not to participate. At the very least, some people will stand on my side, Yishan said. Then if the water world doesn't participate in the realm war, can you guarantee that your people won't attack them? Dragon Language asked. There are some things that Night Sorrow can't say, but I can. In fact, Night Sorrow is the commander of the Chaos Realm. He just doesn't want this title. If he says they won't attack the water world, then most people won't come. If anyone doesn't give him face and comes to attack, then you kill them. Simple? Dachira said. Simple and violent. Actually, according to your majesty's information, other than you, your wife, senior apprentice brother, and a few other people in the Chaos Realm are strong. The others aren't that strong. Well, yours wife. Dragon Language looked at Night Sorrow and then carefully sized up Dachira. That's right. I'm Dachira. Dachira nodded. You have a good personality and are close to your majesties. Since that's the case, then tell us what your majesty thinks. The water world doesn't have to fight, but they may accept others. Because if they lose the realm war, the demon blood world will be destroyed, and one person may be transferred in, Dragon Language said. If you talk like that, then it's boring. This is the attitude of someone who can afford to lose. The water world will accept others, including those who have lost. Then this place will become their headquarters. They'll reorganize and then fight us. If they lose, they'll come back to reorganize and then fight again. Dachira was a little angry. Why are you so impatient? Your majesty didn't finish speaking. Your majesty will only accept everyone once. In other words, if they go to the water world to fight again, your majesty won't accept them again. Accepting them once is your majesty's responsibility as a member of the demon blood world. Once you've done your duty, your majesty won't care about anything else, dragon language said. Including your father? Knight's Sorrow asked. Yes. Your majesty will do what he should and won't care about anything else. Do you think I can afford to lose like this? Dragon language said. Okay, it's decided, Knight's Sorrow said. Okay, after you leave this time, don't come back until the realm war is over, dragon language said. You're really not polite, Dechira snorted. It's nothing. The realm war won't last too long. If we want to walk around, we can come anytime, Night Sorrow said to Dechira. You're very confident. Dragon language looked at Night Sorrow and frowned. Yes, Night Sorrow said. I don't know where your confidence comes from. Dragon language took a sip of tea, his eyes never leaving Night Sorrow. It's from a princess. Night Sorrow smiled. Dragon language wasn't the only one who didn't understand Night Sorrow's words. Dechira was also confused. Princess, if you think the Demon Blood World and the Blood Cloud World have the strength to win the war, you wouldn't have accepted them. You decided to accept people from the Water Great World because you felt that they couldn't win. Night Sorrow stated his conclusion. Night Sorrow, her father is an emperor cultivator. We still have to go and find out more, Dechira said in a low voice. If we're talking about who knows the magic dragon the best, it's of course Princess Dragon Language. Based on her temper, if the magic dragon general is powerful, she'll say that including her father is obviously not. She'll say that if you're not convinced, you can go and try, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 1505. Originally, there were some things that were unknown to the public, and only a limited number of people knew about them. Many years ago, the Magic Dragon General had once attacked the Primal Chaos Realm, but was stopped by the Human Emperor. At that time, he was not yet an Emperor Realm cultivator, and as a result, he suffered a great loss and his origin was damaged. After retreating to the Devil Blood Realm, the Magic Dragon General entered the Emperor Realm while healing, but his origin was still not recovered. Currently, he was thinking about how to repair his origin. If he did not repair his origin, he would not be able to advance any further. Therefore, Dragon Language knew that it would be difficult for the Magic Dragon General to do anything to Night Sorrow, even if he came out of seclusion. Dragon Language felt that the Magic Dragon General's actual combat strength was stronger than hers, but not by much. At most, he was on par with Night Sorrow, or at most a bit stronger. Because of this, there were some flaws in her words. This small, almost undetectable flaw was caught by Night Sorrow. Welcome. As long as you don't interfere or affect the trend of the realm war, you can go now, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Dragon Language was a person who could afford to lose. He believed in Dragon Language's character. Night Sorrow was also very happy. Dragon Language did not refute, which proved that his guess was right. Your Majesty needs to find a passage to the Celestial Realm. He often travels to various realms. Perhaps he can find something in your Primal Chaos Realm. Dragon Language said. She really wanted to go to the Primal Chaos Realm. Normally speaking, your Devil Blood Realm should have a passage to the Celestial Realm, right? Night Sorrow said. There is, but your Majesty has not had the chance to use it. I won't say much today. You should leave after resting. Don't come back until the realm war is over. Night Sorrow, your Majesty does not want to talk to you anymore. Dragon Language stood up and roared at Night Sorrow. She realized that she couldn't speak to Night Sorrow when she was an opponent. She regretted what she had just said because she had revealed something else. After Dragon Language left, Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine and poured a glass for himself and Dechira. Let's celebrate. We've been waiting for some good news. I have to say, your brain works really fast. You even noticed some details that others didn't notice. It seems that the Magic Dragon General situation isn't as difficult to deal with as we thought. Also, I discovered that the relationship between the Dragon Language and the Magic Dragon General is somewhat subtle, Dechira said. That should be the case. At present, I still have the Interrealm Teleportation Crystal. It is not difficult to use the King Grade Teleportation Crystal to connect the Demon Blood World to the Black-Yellow Great World. Then, we can connect it to the blood cloud great world. After that, we can start the war, Knight Sorrow said after taking a sip of wine. He was the only one on the I-1 network. Everyone else is ex-pirated V. Well, I just came out with you for a walk. You can make all the decisions. Dechira nodded. She really felt that she came out with Knight Sorrow to have fun. Knight Sorrow would handle everything properly. Then, Knight Sorrow and Dechira left the VIP building in the Water City. After changing their clothes slightly, they returned to the Demon Blood world. After leaving the Demon Blood City, Knight Sorrow and Dechira entered the vast wilderness. Then, they found an area suitable for hoarding troops and defense. Then, they set up a teleportation formation to connect it to the United Army camp of the Black-Yellow Great World. Then, they set up a defensive formation and an illusory formation. After setting up the stronghold, Knight Sorrow and Dechira were teleported back to the Black-Yellow Great World. However, Knight Sorrow's doppelganger stayed behind. Someone had to watch the teleportation formation. Seeing Knight Sorrow come back, the Lords of Heaven of the Chaotic Realm were very happy. When they arrived at the command tent, Knight Sorrow told them about the investigation after entering the Demon Blood world and the agreement he made with Dragon Language. Knight Sorrow, you can make these decisions directly. You are now the commander-in-chief of the United Army, Lord of Heaven God who said, "It's better for everyone to discuss." Knight Sorrow smiled. Knight Sorrow, you don't have to decline this. Everyone has their own considerations. Relying on us old guys won't solve any problems. Tang Jianfeng also expressed his attitude. Knight Sorrow, tell us your opinion and decision. Qing Emperor said. He fully supported Knight Sorrow, but he didn't say it. Because he was the master, he wanted to avoid arousing suspicion. I've already set up the stronghold over there. I have also set up a simple defensive formation. In order to prevent the enemy's diviners from destroying it in advance, our men must enter as soon as possible. As long as our men arrive, they won't be afraid of divining anything. At worst, it will be a hard battle, Knight Sorrow said. Then let's start the teleportation. 2 people will stay here. The rest will go over and defend the stronghold first. The integration of the men can be carried out at the stronghold over there. We will strengthen the stronghold while preparing for war, Tang Jianfeng said. Okay, that's a good idea. Qing Emperor nodded. My doppelganger is already there. Everyone can make the arrangements. Now, I want to go home and see my wife and children, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. You are really bold to say that you miss your other wives in front of Aluo, Lord of Heaven Precious Fragrance said with a smile. Knight Sorrow is a member of the Goof family. The other sisters don't have it easy either. Dechira smiled. He didn't mind this matter. When Knight Sorrow's original body was at home, she would push Knight Sorrow to others. After leaving the Allied Army's tent with Dechira, Knight Sorrow went to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. He wanted to ask the origin of Xuanhuan Great World if there was anything he needed to avoid or do before the Realm War started. As soon as Knight Sorrow arrived at the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, the origin of the Xuanhuan Great World appeared and welcomed Knight Sorrow and Dechira into the Heaven and Earth Pavilion with a smile. The origin of the Xuanhuan Great World brought Knight Sorrow and Dechira to a more comfortable space in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. A match made in heaven. The sage and his wife are really a match made in heaven. In addition, the sage's trip to the Devil Blood Realm should be very smooth, right? Yes, it's going rather smoothly. In order to completely resolve the danger that the Devil Blood domain poses to us, we will launch a counterattack. Does Senior have any advice for this junior? Yishang nodded and asked. We won't plunder anything. In fact, as long as the Realm War goes smoothly, the Chaos Realm will be blessed with the Heavenly Way's fate. You can make the arrangements as you see fit. Remember to be careful. Safety is important. The origin of the Xuanhuan Great World nodded to Knight Sorrow. Then, Knight Sorrow and Dechira left the Xuanhuan Great World. After leaving the Xuanhuan Great World and arriving at 9 Region City, Dechira muttered, So stingy. I'm your wife, but he didn't give me any treasures or anything. Aluo, the origin of the world, is the life of the Heavenly Way. It doesn't have many emotions and does things according to its own rules. How could it give you treasures just because you're my wife? Night Sorrow said with a smile. Datura smiled and nodded. She was just joking. Night Sorrow's return made the whole family very happy. During the family reunion banquet, Yi Xiaoluo and Yi Xiaolei went to Night Sorrow's side and sat with one on each side. The whole family was very happy and harmonious. At this time, in the water realm, Huhu had returned to report that he had arrived at the Magic Dragon Palace. However, he did not see the Magic Dragon General. He had only asked the chief steward of the Magic Dragon Palace for the dragon language memory crystal. Huhu, our water realm will not participate in this realm war, the dragon language said to Huhu. In the water realm, the dragon language was actually the overseer. Some things were managed by Huhu. Chapter 1506. Do you really want to know? Dragon language looked at Huhu. Not really. I just don't understand, Huhu said. Then let me tell you. Inaccurate information kills people. Night Sorrow is not the virtuous saint, but the virtuous great saint. When I attacked him with the dragon flame of destruction, his protective golden light shook, and a part of the dragon flame of destruction's power disappeared. Why? Because the virtuous great saint is a monarch. Even king's level of energy can't hurt him. Cultivators of the same level are no match for him. Even if your majesty is a heavenly lord of destruction, his attack power will be weakened, dragon language said. Virtuous great saint? But Tianlan and the others are talking about the virtuous great saint. These fools, their information is inaccurate, Huhu said with a frown. Inaccurate information was indeed a trap. You saw his combat power that day. Your majesty used all his strength, but your majesty doesn't know if he used all his strength. He showed mercy, so why can't we go through? Dragon language said. But the chief, is it appropriate for us to do this? Huhu didn't understand dragon language's way of doing things. This was equivalent to not being on the same side as the Magic Dragon General. You don't have to ask about this. Your majesty is the master of Blackwater Realm. He's only responsible for the stability of Blackwater Realm. Your majesty doesn't care about anything else. Just follow your majesty's instructions. Dragon language waved his hand. Then I'll make the arrangements. Huhu nodded. Huhu, you've been with your majesty for a long time. No matter how this world changes, your majesty will take you and protect you. Even if one day you have to leave this place and go to another world, dragon language said. In the demon blood world, the person she trusted the most was Huhu. He was more of a friend than a subordinate. Huhu nodded and left the Blackwater Palace to handle some matters. As the actual ruler and manager of a world, Huhu was a smart person. He noticed that the relationship between the dragon language and the Magic Dragon General was a little strange, but since the dragon language didn't want to talk about it, he didn't ask. All he needed to do was to arrange things for the dragon language. When they arrived at the Blackwater City Lord residence, Huhu gathered all the heavenly monarchs and leaders of the forces and announced the decision of the dragon language. Everyone was surprised and looked at Huhu. We are the heaven monarchs of the Blackwater Great World. We are in charge of the Blackwater Great World's affairs. We'll do whatever the princess tells us to do. Everyone, please remember that we're the princess subordinates. Since they aren't attacking Blackwater World, we shouldn't seek trouble for ourselves. That's how it is, Huhu said. The other heavenly monarchs nodded. Since the dragon language said so, they would do as they were told. Release some spies. We need to know what is going on outside. Also, we need to record the people from other worlds. We will only allow them to seek refuge once. Don't treat us Blackwater Great World as fools. We can't let the princess bear the name of disbelief, Huhu said. At that moment, in the Magic Dragon Palace of the Demon Blood World, an old man in a red battle robe appeared and sat on the throne. There was a red crack between the old man's eyebrows. His face was full of anger. He was the Magic Dragon General, the leader of the Demon Blood Realm. What's the matter by crushing this king's messaging crystal? Don't you know that this king is in seclusion? The Magic Dragon General was displeased. his true body was in seclusion to cultivate his realm, while his clone was cultivating his ultimate skill. The one who came out now was his clone. The princess sent someone to deliver a memory crystal ball. Also, the Realm Lord hasn't read the battle report about the Realm War, a woman with green hair said. She was the Magic Dragon Palace's manager, Shi. After reading the message crystal ball in the dragon language, the Magic Dragon General smashed it to pieces. The anger on his face was even more intense. She was so scared that she didn't dare to say anything. Evil creature, you really think you're all grown up? The Magic Dragon General scolded. When the dragon language left the demon blood world to explore, the Magic Dragon General only felt that it was strange at first. Later, he realized that something was wrong. By the time he realized that something was wrong, the dragon language's wings had already grown up. There were some things that the Magic Dragon General knew best. He originally thought that the dragon language would never know, but after the dragon language established itself and never returned to the demon blood world, the Magic Dragon General came to understand some things. The dragon language might have already noticed, but even so, he couldn't do anything because some things couldn't be brought up on the table. Now that he saw the dragon language crystal ball, he was even more furious. However, he still couldn't do anything. He couldn't touch his daughter on the surface. Besides, there was the problem of strength. He was also afraid of the dragon language's strength. The Magic Dragon General might have an advantage over other cultivators due to his racial talent, but he was at a disadvantage in front of the dragon language. They were both dragons, and the dragon language had the right bloodline for dragons, so it had a suppressive effect on the side branches. Then, the Magic Dragon General listened to Shi Ye's report about the previous realm war. 2 pieces of trash. The other side didn't have any half-step Imperial Realm cultivators. One of their clones was killed, and the other was killed. The Magic Dragon General roared angrily. The Demon Blood Legion, Sky Fiend Legion, and Realm Lord Lai Bing's Blood Cloud Legion are all stationed in Demon Sealing City to defend, Shi said. What's the point of defending? We'll fight our way over first. This king will personally lead a team over there. The Magic Dragon General glared at Shi. Realm Lord, you saw the princess's message in the crystal ball. It was the princess's decision after she was defeated. The other side might have already sent people into the Demon Blood Realm, Shi said. Then, Shi reported in detail about the Realm War and what happened in the Blackwater world. The Realm Lord that Shi mentioned was the Realm Lord. It was a world of difference from the Realm Lords of the Eastern Xian Realm and the Taiching Realm. Let's go. We'll set up camp in Forbidden City. No matter how many of them come, this king will kill them all. The Magic Dragon General's murderous aura rippled in all directions. After Night Sorrow had dinner with his family, he chatted casually with his parents and old Mr. Gu. Son, I don't understand your world, but you have to be careful. Our family is very stable now, and everything is going well. Let's not get outside. If there are difficulties, we will come back. Yu Qing said. Mother, don't worry. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. After staying at home for a few days, Night Sorrow and Dechira set off. Wu Lingfei's original body was cultivating in the sub-body of the Haoyan Godly Pagoda, and her avatar also left with Night Sorrow. When Night Sorrow arrived at the Alliance camp of the Sea King's Palace, he realized that most of the troops had disappeared. The ones overseeing this place were actually Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord, whom he had not seen for a while. Other than him, there were also Misty Rain and Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance. Update Carrot soonest. Lord Heavenly Lord is here. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Yuan, Dao Heavenly Lord. Night Sorrow, I haven't seen you for a while, but your name has already shaken the world. After the victory of the Border Region War, Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord's situation has improved a lot. This seat's avatar is here. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord smiled. Night Sorrow introduced Wu Lingfei to Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord and his 2 companions. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord and his 2 companions were very polite and respectful. Regardless of cultivation, Wu Lingfei was someone that Night Sorrow valued, and that was enough. Say the 7th watch has arrived. Chapter 1507. Qing Emperor, City Lord Tang, and the others have all gone to your stronghold. This place will be guarded by me, Yu Fei, and Liu Xiang, the two heavenly lords. Yuan Dao, heavenly lord, said. Then I'll have to trouble you here. I'll go there too. Night Sorrow said. He knew that this place was very safe because there weren't many people on the other side of the void tunnel. It was mainly for defense. Okay, I'll inform you immediately if anything happens. Even if they attack, this sealing array can hold them off for a while. Yuan Dao, heavenly lord, nodded. Night Sorrow took Dachira and Wu Lingfei to the stronghold he had set up in the demon blood world through the teleportation array. The stronghold was located in the demon blood world's Thousand Blades Mountain. It wasn't far from Demon Blood City. Night Sorrow saw misty rain beside Qing Emperor. Night Sorrow knew that it might be a doppelganger, but he couldn't tell without checking. Of course, he couldn't check casually as it was impolite. The original body and the doppelganger were in two different battlefields. This was the fastest way to transmit information. If something happened at the Void Tunnel in the Sea King's Palace, they would know immediately. The Yuanshu army was also there. When they saw Night Sorrow, Yu Feng ran to Night Sorrow to report. After greeting everyone, Night Sorrow went to the Nine Heavens Army stronghold and set up a tent. When Night Sorrow wanted to set up a tent for Wu Lingfei, she refused. She wanted to find Ling Long and Nan Liyue. Night Sorrow thought about it and felt that it was okay. Wu Lingfei was very familiar with the members of the God-slaying team. After bringing Wu Lingfei to the God-slaying team's stronghold, Night Sorrow called Long Jin, Liang Yu, Yin Huang, and Qin Jun. Enfei wants to go out for a walk. She'll stay with you for the time being. You have to take care of what happens next, Night Sorrow said. 13th brother, don't worry. If you want us to live, we won't let anything happen to Aunt Fei. Tianyu knew what kind of relationship Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei had. And all of you, don't be stupid. This is a realm war, so be careful. Night Sorrow looked at the group before him and said, Vimos Q knew, previous carrot, actually, regardless of whether it's a realm war, or a war between forces, what we need to do is to eliminate our opponents. Those who stand in our way will be cut down. It's that simple, Long Jin said. You guys have won. I can't be bothered to talk about you guys anymore. Call me if you need anything. Feeling somewhat helpless, Night Sorrow turned and left. He knew that this was the God-slaying squad, and that they had the fighting spirit of tigers and wolves. After returning to his tent, Night Sorrow and Dachira discussed the current situation. Aluo, we can confirm that there might be a problem between the dragon language and the magic dragon general. Can a diviner divine it? Night Sorrow suddenly had an idea. We can try that. Dachira felt that this method was feasible. Just as the two of them were talking, Qian Xiangwei and Qian Yu arrived. You guys chat. I'll go talk to the others. Dachira stood up and left the tent. She was going to find the other heavenly monarchs to ask for a diviner. Greetings, Captain. Qian Xiangwei and Qian Yu cupped their hands at Night Sorrow. The two of you are so boring. I'll let you join the God-slaying squad because I want you to gain more experience and achieve more, not because I want to lose friends. Qian Yu, aren't we brothers? Xiangwei, you called yourself second sister back then. After hearing Qian Xiangwei and Qian Yu's words, Night Sorrow was very unhappy. Hee, you're a little reserved. Night Sorrow is like this. My eldest sister came out of the Nine Heavens Pagoda. After knowing our situation, she also wanted to come, Qian Yu said. Eldest sister entered the Nine Heavens Pagoda because of a fortuitous encounter. In the end, her achievements now are inferior to the two of us. Qian Xiangwei patted her brother's shoulder and said, after Qian Xiangwei and Qian Yu entered the God-slaying squad, their cultivation rose extremely rapidly. They crossed the original bottleneck, and their cultivation rose in a straight line. They were both two-star king. Come on, you know the rules. After bringing eldest sister here, greet Long Jin and the rest. Night Sorrow said, all right, when the war is over, second sister will cook a table of food and wine for you. Qian Xiangwei said. After exiting the tent, Qian Yu and Qian Xiangwei walked towards the teleportation array. Father and mother didn't give birth to a brother for me, but the heavens sent one. Perhaps this is the greatest blessing in my life. Qianyu said somewhat emotionally. Not long after Qianyu and Qian Xiangwei left, Dachira brought Qing Emperor Tang Jianfeng and the rest in a Knight Sorrow's tent. Master, City Lord Tang, everyone sit. Knight Sorrow invited everyone to sit. Then he took out a cup of soul tea. War is war, but good tea still needs to be drunk. We know what you're thinking. It's hard to say if this can be divined, but we can try. Qing Emperor said, Lord, Heavenly Lord, if you want a divine, you need a medium. In other words, you need something related to the other party. A man brought by Tang Jianfeng said, That's not easy. That's an opponent, and a strong one at that. It's not easy to come into contact with her. Hearing the requirements, Knight Sorrow was a little conflicted. There is. That day when you were fighting, she dropped a scale, and it splashed to my side. Dachira took out a shining black scale. That's enough. Everyone can wait for the results. The fortune teller bowed to everyone in the tent, and then left the tent. The army's integration is almost complete. The joint attack array formation is also very mature. Qing Emperor said, Everyone has to cultivate the joint attack array formation. War is about strength. Another thing is information. With accurate information, we can make the right judgment and decision, Knight Sorrow said. Upon hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Tang Jianfeng smiled awkwardly. We've been in the midst of setting up defenses and integrating. This matter hasn't been settled yet. We'll immediately release the spies of each army. The main ones are the Demon Blood World and the Blood Cloud Great World. Don't send anyone from the Blackwater Great World. Knight Sorrow reminded them. Everything that followed proceeded in an orderly manner. Knight Sorrow's main body entered the Haotian Divine Pagoda to cultivate because there was still the space-time will to deduce. In addition, the fourth drop of soul cultivation fluid in his divine sea had not been completely refined. On this day, Dragon Language, who was listening to Hohu's report, stood up. Something doesn't feel right. It seems like someone has done something to your majesty. By the way, you said that there's no movement at all? There's no movement at all. The chief has appeared and gone to Demon Sealing City. However, he hasn't launched an attack, Ho said. There's no movement. That means we haven't found anything yet. Knight Sorrow must have begun his deployment. A storm will come soon, Dragon Language said as he looked at the sky outside the Blackwater Palace. Princess, are you sure? Ho asked. Yes. Unfortunately, the Demon Blood Domain hasn't been alerted. When the other party launches an attack, everything will be passive. However, Your Majesty said that he won't participate in the domain war, so he won't participate. Dragon Language paced back and forth in the Blackwater Palace. He just felt that something was wrong. At this time, at the top of Thousand Blades Mountain, the diviner of Xianhuang City was performing a divination. He said, "The first update. I'll try my best to update 2 more times before 10 o'clock. Chapter 1508. As the clairvoyant used his divination technique, scenes appeared one after another, which were then recorded in the crystal ball. After recording the results of the divination, the clairvoyant took the crystal ball and found Tang Jianfeng. Tang Jianfeng took the crystal ball to Knight Sorrow's tent. After activating the crystal ball, Knight Sorrow, Dachira, and the others watched it carefully. The scenes in the crystal ball were illusory, followed by the scene of an ancient tree towering into the sky. There was a huge egg with patterns on it in a cave in the forest. Then, a human figure appeared and took the egg away. Then the egg hatched, and a little girl appeared. Then, it was the little girl's growth. The scene passed very quickly, and the last scene was the battle between Knight Sorrow and Draconic Whisper. Knight Sorrow destroyed a scale on Draconic Whisper's body. Knight Sorrow, the dragon language, is not the magic dragon general's daughter. It was stolen. Dachira looked at Knight Sorrow, his eyes full of shock. So, there's a gap between the dragon language and the magic dragon general. The magic dragon general stole their child, separating them from their flesh and blood. The dragon language should have discovered something, Night Sorrow said. If that's the case, we can basically ignore the dragon language's influence on the realm war, Qing Emperor said. Night Sorrow, the information you receive from your trip to the Devil Blood realm is very accurate and effective. If this continues, we will be facing the strength of two great worlds. Last time, in the battle of our black-yellow great world, their legions suffered heavy losses, and the two legions' commanders were also seriously injured. So, the only resistance we have now is their leader, the Magic Dragon General, Qing Emperor said. We don't know how strong the Magic Dragon General is, but according to what we know now, he won't be too strong. But there is one thing we can't ignore. The Magic Dragon General can steal the egg of the dragon's offspring. This means that his knowledge and experience must be much greater than ours. He can come into contact with things we can't, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Yes, sometimes experience and methods can change the outcome. We must be careful. Qing Emperor looked at Night Sorrow and nodded. His disciple's cautiousness made him feel more at ease. He is an evil dragon. Last time, Master, you were poisoned by an evil dragon, Poison Centipede. We know what kind of methods he has. If we are not careful, we will be at a disadvantage. Night Sorrow said. The others nodded. Caution was the parent of safety. One careless mistake could lead to death. No one wanted such a thing to happen. After chatting for a while, everyone dispersed. Night Sorrow, you will have to deal with the Magic Dragon General in the end. Nothing must go wrong. We don't know how powerful the flames and poison centipede of an evil dragon at the Imperial level are, Dechira said. Yes, we don't know. Because of our background and our level, our horizons are limited. Night Sorrow nodded. In the following days, Night Sorrow's original body cultivated while his doppelganger watched the legions reorganize. He also went to watch Qing Emperor and the others set up the defensive formation. This place would become the base of the realm war. It cannot be hidden from others and could be easily attacked. So, defense was the most important thing. After returning from the God-slaying team's camp, Night Sorrow fell into deep thought. Night Sorrow, what are you thinking about? Dechira asked. That dragon language is of the destruction attribute, but it is not complete. When she fought against me, she was suppressed. If she has the complete destruction attribute, then she can help the demon blood world's origin overcome the danger of destruction. Night Sorrow gave his analysis. There are many branches of the supreme attribute. Fire, wind, and so on. It is very difficult to have a perfect supreme attribute. It depends on the level of your innate talent. If the level is low, you will have to slowly comprehend it. Dechira said. Actually, she was also thinking about this problem. The death attribute also contained the destruction attribute. Knowing that the evil dragon's poison was tyrannical, Night Sorrow worked hard every day to cultivate the virtuous, indestructible avatar. The virtuous, indestructible avatar's defense was extremely strong. It could be said that it was immune to all poisons. Night Sorrow wanted to improve. After being divined by the divination master, dragon language calmed down. That mysterious influence was no longer present. I forgot to ask that bastard Night Sorrow for a method. Right now, they're hiding very deeply. They're in a state of war. We can't find anything. There is no way to find him, dragon language said. Princess, do you want to find a divination master to do a divination? Huhu asked. Chapter D, Section 1, Part 08Y. All right, we'll do as you say. Divine where he is. Your Majesty also wants to see just what he is playing at. Dragon language nodded. Huhu's idea was very much to her liking. Huhu went to do some work. There were 2 divination masters in Water City's city lord's residence. Huhu randomly grabbed one and went to the VIP building. He found the traces that Night Sorrow had left behind and began the divination. Night Sorrow did not deliberately hide anything, so it was easily divined. The location and situation of the Allied Army's main camp were recorded in a memory crystal ball by the divination master. Holding the memory crystal ball, Huhu went to Water Palace and handed the crystal ball to Dragon Language. After taking a look, Draconic let out a sigh of relief. As expected, they're preparing for battle. Or rather, they're already prepared for battle. So fast. Ho was also surprised. They have already investigated the Devil Blood Domain situation. Naturally, they're prepared to attack. Therefore, the Devil Blood Domain is already at a disadvantage. Their allied army's main camp should be at Thousand Edge Mountain. All right, just pretend that you don't know about this. Your Majesty should go. If he knows about this, he should be provoked. Dragon Language said, Princess, please be careful. Ho nodded. Arrange for the Heavenly Lords to guard the teleportation array. They can come in, but don't let them come in again. Dragon Language said. After instructing Ho, Dragon Language's body flashed and left Water Palace. She went to the teleportation array and teleported to Devil Blood City. Then, she flew towards Thousand Edge Mountain. Because of the memory crystal ball as a marker, Dragon Language did not have to spend much effort to find the location of the Chaos Realm's allied army. Standing at the top of Thousand Edge Mountain and looking down at the Chaos Realm's allied army, Dragon Language shook her head. She could naturally see that there was an extremely powerful defensive array outside the allied army. It was not that easy to break through. After watching for a while, Dragon Language thought for a moment and then took a deep breath. Night Sorrow, Night Sorrow, she shouted in Dragon Language. Her voice was like an energy wave that rippled in all directions. The first to receive it was the Chaos Realm's allied army's main camp. Night Sorrow, who was meditating, opened his eyes. Dachira, who was meditating beside him, was looking at him. It's Dragon Language. I didn't expect her to find this place. I don't know what she wants. I'll go take a look. Night Sorrow said. All right, go take a look. But now is not the time for conflict. Dachira reminded Night Sorrow. When Night Sorrow arrived at Thousand Edge Mountain, Dragon Language was studying the memory crystal ball. Chapter 1509. Whether or not your Majesty is going to participate in the Realm War. Don't you think you're meddling too much? Dragon Language said as he tossed the crystal ball in his hand. Fine. What can I do about it? Night Sorrow realized that Dragon Language was an unruly woman. What does your Majesty want? How much do you think this crystal ball is worth? If your Majesty finds someone to give it to Xie Bing, Lai Bing, and the others, it shouldn't be cheap. However, we've drunk wine and tea together before, so your Majesty wants to give it to you first, Dragon Language said as he looked at the crystal ball in his hand. Aren't you threatening me? Night Sorrow said with a smile. Look at the RR of Q1 inch. How can you say that? Your Majesty thinks that it's useful to you, so you should spend some money to buy it. Dragon Language's face was filled with an expression of wanting to help Night Sorrow. Sigh. Actually, there's something that I've always kept in my heart. Now that I think about it, it's not a bad choice. In your words, we've drunk wine and tea together before, so I'll give it to you first. Night Sorrow took out the memory crystal ball of Dragon Language's origin and activated it. The image in the crystal ball continued to flow. Draconic kept watching until the image ended. You despicable person. After watching it, Dragon Language was not as hysterical as Night Sorrow imagined. Instead, he was very calm. Do you want to buy it? Night Sorrow asked with a smile. No, your Majesty isn't afraid. Your Majesty dares to stop Waterworld from participating in the Realm War. Do you think your Majesty will be afraid of this? Your Majesty has entered King's realm and awakened his bloodline and knows some things. He didn't fall out with me because he raised me. I didn't fall out with him, but that doesn't mean that I'm afraid of falling out with him, Dragon Language said. I'm sorry. I was too impulsive. I shouldn't have rubbed salt on your wound, Night Sorrow said apologetically. It's nothing. You didn't take it out, didn't use it to make us fall out, didn't use it to start a war. Dragon Language, appreciate it, Dragon Language said. It's good that you know that. A gentleman knows what to do and what not to do. Night Sorrow, would never do such a despicable thing. Night Sorrow waved his hand and threw the crystal ball to Dragon Language. Do you want Grand Air? Dragon Language pointed at the crystal ball in his hand and asked. There's no point. This place is impregnable. We're not afraid of anyone who wants to attack us. However, I'm thankful that you didn't expose us in the past. Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine and tossed it to Dragon Language. That's true. Don't misunderstand. Your Majesty didn't mean to threaten you. He was just curious about what you were doing. He wanted to make some good tea with the crystal ball and play with you. Are you going to give him the tea? Dragon Language looked at Night Sorrow and asked, Here, you're practically a bandit. Night Sorrow took out a bag of tea and tossed it to Dragon Language. That's enough. Your Majesty said that you're not allowed to go to the water world before the realm war ends. You're not a petty person. If you want to go, go. However, be careful. If your Majesty is in a bad mood one day, he'll kill you. Dragon Language made a throat-slitting gesture and then left in a flash. After Dragon Language left, Qing Emperor Tang Jianfeng and Sky Lord Shun who went to Night Sorrow's side. Qing Emperor looked in the direction that Dragon Language left and thought for a moment. He then turned to Night Sorrow and said, I heard your conversation. Under normal circumstances, she shouldn't have disrupted our plans. Probably not. She's not a petty person. Night Sorrow nodded and said. Then, they returned to the command tent. Dechira had also arrived. Night Sorrow, news is constantly coming back. We're gathering information. When we have enough information, we'll formulate a war plan. I'll leave this matter to you. Tang Jianfeng said. City Lord Tang, let's discuss this matter. Night Sorrow said with a smile. That won't do. In terms of army leadership, tactics, and strategic arrangements, we're far inferior to you. This matter must be done by you. You can't refuse. Sky Lord Shun who said. Night Sorrow nodded helplessly. Since everyone said so, he couldn't refuse. Luo, go to the 9 grand floors and bring Xuanji here. Let her handle all the information. She'll know what I need and what I don't. Night Sorrow said to Dechira. Okay, I'll go get her. Dechira nodded. Ha! I've heard about your 9 Heavens Army's female strategist. Tang Jianfeng said. After Jun Xuanji came, Night Sorrow specially set up a tent for him and put him in charge of all the information and intelligence. Qing Emperor and the others continued to strengthen the stronghold's defenses. After the war began, this place would be exposed and might be attacked by the enemy. Night Sorrow went to the Blood Cloud Great World once and set up a teleportation array. This meant that they could attack the Blood Cloud Great World at any time. Half a month after Jun Xuanji came, he brought a stack of information to Night Sorrow's tent. Xuanji, you've worked hard this time. When it comes to war, I feel that working with you is the most dependable, Night Sorrow said as he brewed a pot of tea. Actually, I like this feeling too. I can feel the value of my existence. I've organized the information, and some of it is useless. I've also had my spies investigate the key information twice. The enemy's army is currently hoarding in Demon Sealing City, Jun Xuanji said. Demon Sealing City is where the spatial wormhole is, right? Night Sorrow confirmed after thinking for a moment. That's right. The dominator of the demonic blood great world, who is also the leader, Mo Longjiang, is also in Demon Sealing City. Whether it's his original body or his doppelganger, we can't be sure, Jun Xuanji said. The Magic Dragon General is in Demon Sealing City. That means that the Demon Blood World's Demon Blood City only has one of the Magic Dragon General's main body or a clone. Night Sorrow's eyes lit up. That's right. Isn't that what you want? Jun Xuanji smiled. Haha, you understand me. The most important thing in war is momentum. If we can destroy the enemy's base, why not? Night Sorrow nodded. There's a chance, but I have to remind you of something important. The biggest variable in this war is whether or not the water world is as you expect. If they change their minds, then our estimation of their strength will be wrong, and it'll be easy for problems to arise, Jun Xuanji said. She was analyzing the problem from an objective point of view. There shouldn't be a mistake. The biggest variable here is how strong the Magic Dragon General is and whether or not we can quickly take him down, Night Sorrow said. Jun Xuanji did not say anything else. Apart from that, there were no other problems. Following this, Night Sorrow gathered all the higher-ups of the Allied army in the command tent. Next, Night Sorrow began to plan the battle. I'll take care of the teleportation formation. When we attack, I'll immediately destroy Demon Blood City's teleportation formation so that they won't be able to come back in time. Chapter 15:12. Everyone is here. Please take a seat. Night Sorrow gestured for everyone to take a seat. We heard what you said. We didn't do that, Tang Jianfeng said. It's just some thoughts and ideas. Children have to rely on themselves to grow. As a father, I just need to give them a good starting point and a good cultivation environment, Night Sorrow said. You already know what happened. This is everyone's idea. With the emergence of the Realm War, the development of the Chaos Realm has changed. A snake can't do without a head, so we need a real leader. I know you hate trouble, but this is the general trend. It's your responsibility, Tang Jianfeng said. I'll do what I have to do. Night Sorrow nodded. After the ceremony, we'll prepare the domain chief's manor. Everyone will act according to the rules. The Chaos Realm will stabilize and develop better, Lord of Heaven God who said. Where should we put the domain chief's manor? Tang Jianfeng asked. Everyone else was also thinking about it. Night Sorrow's world is good. If you ask where's the safest place in the Chaos Realm, it's the Nine-Domain world. Night Sorrow is the realm lord of the Nine-Domain world. It's unbreakable. The other Nine-Domain world is in the core area of the three major world groups. It's more convenient, Qing Emperor said. That's more suitable. But I haven't been to the Nine-Domain world yet, Tang Jianfeng said. Six-Nif Night Sorrow smiled and explained the general situation of the Nine-Domain world. A new world, a supreme source. This is the potential of a major world. It's amazing, Lord of Heaven God who said with some emotion. It's less than 100,000 years old, so it has a long lifespan. Even during the Great Calamity, I can protect this source, and the source can continue to give birth to new worlds. In addition, if the three major worlds of the Chaos Realm reach the Great Calamity, I'll do my best to protect the source and give them a chance to be reborn, Night Sorrow said. Haha, that's great. Lord of Heaven God who laughed. It's all good news. Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao nodded. After chatting for a while, everyone went to prepare for battle. The development of the primal chaos domain was a matter of the future. The most important thing right now was to resolve the realm war. Night Sorrow took out Evil Soldier Skeleton and gave it to Dechira. Arrow, go and throw this into the dark abyss. This way, Evil Soldier's doppelganger can ignore it. All right, that's another problem solved. Dechira smiled and nodded. Then, he left using the teleportation array. With the development of the teleportation array, it would only take a moment to do this. When Dechira came back to drink tea with Night Sorrow, Xie Bing, who was meditating at the entrance of the wormhole, stood up. His face was filled with pain. He understood what was going on. This was what Lai Bing had suffered back then. Anger and helplessness. These were Xie Bing's feelings. He was angry because he was tortured like this. He was helpless because he could not solve it. He did not even dare to go to the primal chaos domain. If he went there now, he would be courting death. He was not afraid of others, but he was afraid of Night Sorrow. If Night Sorrow wanted to kill him, it would be as easy as cutting vegetables. After thinking for a while, Xie Bing looked in the direction of the main tent. The Magic Dragon General was meditating there. The pain continued to come. Xie Bing made a decision. When the Magic Dragon General was not here, he would enter the wormhole and negotiate with the primal chaos domain, even if it meant surrendering. He knew that he could not bear the torture that had accumulated over the years. Xie Bing does not have much fighting power. When he sees us, he will have to submit. Lai Bing only has his original body. He is not much of a deterrent. Night Sorrow said. Dechira nodded. There were 4 experts in the Devil Blood domain. Magic Dragon General, Dragon Princess, Dragon Language, Skyblade Lai Bing, and Devil Blade Xie Bing. Devil Blade Xie Bing's original body was destroyed. Only his doppelganger was still recovering. Now, the body of his original body was thrown into the dark abyss by Dechira. It was gnawed by the devil spirit and had no fighting power. It was negligible. Skyblade Lai Bing's doppelganger was destroyed. Although he had recovered, he still had a strong sense of fear for Night Sorrow. If Night Sorrow could destroy him once, he could naturally do it again. Dragon Princess and Dragon Language, who were ranked higher than Xie Bing and Lai Bing in terms of fighting power, had decided to withdraw from the Realm War after being defeated by Night Sorrow once. In other words, in this Realm War, the one to be dealt with was the Magic Dragon General. Soon, it was time to decide the battle. Night Sorrow stood at the entrance of the tent and watched the people quickly gather and mobilize. A moment later, all the lords of heaven gathered at Night Sorrow's tent. Regent Master, my doppelganger is ready. He can teleport to the Demon Sealing City at any time to destroy the teleportation formation. Wu Ling Mountain Master, who came with Tang Jianfeng, said, after the battle, Master will be able to feel the situation and take action when it's time. Let's go now. Our main members will go to the Thousand Blade City first. Night Sorrow led everyone to the teleportation formation. At this time, there were 4 subsidiary teleportation formations next to the main teleportation formation. This was to prepare for the rapid teleportation of people. In addition, last night, Night Sorrow had received a piece of good news from Lord of Heaven. He had set up a teleportation formation on a large lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli was extremely sturdy. Even if it was moved, the structure of the teleportation formation on it would not change. Therefore, the chaotic region had 4 teleportation formations that could be activated instantly. Yishan led the Heaven Monarchs and flew to the Thousand Blade City. Before the Thousand Blade City's defenders could react, the teleportation array had been seized. Master, you can move now. After giving the order, Night Sorrow boarded the teleportation formation and began to teleport towards the Demon Blood City. After leaving the Demon Blood City, Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger appeared at the same time. They began to attack the guards of the teleportation formation. Then, the people who rushed over began to kill the guards around the teleportation formation. Not to mention that the guards of the teleportation formation were just sovereigns. Even Lords of Heaven were killed by Night Sorrow. With Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger attacking with all their might, the guards of the teleportation formation were all killed in an instant. Qing Emperor and Sima Tiansheng began to set up a sealing formation. It was a sealing formation that prevented the teleportation formation from operating. At this time, the Wu Ling Mountain Master came to Night Sorrow's side. Region Master, the teleportation formation of the Demon Sealing City has been destroyed. Will the magic dragon appear? Night Sorrow asked the Wu Ling Mountain Master. Yes, but before he arrived, I activated the trap and kill formation disc and the teleportation formation disc and left. The Wu Ling Mountain Master reported the situation. Very good. Master, your doppelganger is guarding the United Forces camp, so you don't have to come. Set up the teleportation formation and begin the mass teleportation. Senior brother, let's go. Night Sorrow shouted to Sandalwood. Then, he flew towards the Magic Dragon Palace, which was the lair of the Magic Dragon General. Seeing Night Sorrow and Sandalwood fly away, Dachira was a little anxious. He could only watch as the warriors of the Nine Heavens army continuously teleported over. Hurry up, Dachira shouted. Chapter 15:14. And L equals J underscore and L equals and unsealed ice seal. White ice energy blocked the evil dragon's flames. The white figure was none other than Wu Lingfei in her white dress. Dachira wasn't able to completely block the evil dragon's flames. The remaining parts were blocked by Wu Lingfei's ice seal. Ice could counter fire, but it needed to be at the same level of energy. At the very least, the difference couldn't be too great. Wu Lingfei was a junior king, and her ice energy was also at the level of a junior king. Compared to the magic dragon's flames, the difference was too great. She could only block it for a moment before the ice energy collapsed. However, Wu Lingfei had bought everyone some time. Seeing that the people behind her had dodged, Wu Lingfei leaped into the air. The flames flew under her feet and landed on the ground, burning a large hole in the ground. Cool M, Craftsman Net. Only one original version. The others are all pirated. Dechira flashed to Wu Lingfei's side. Aunt Fei, are you all right? I'm fine. Wu Lingfei smiled at Dechira. The anxious expression on Dechira's face let her know that Dechira really cared about her. At this time, the Magic Dragon General couldn't attack anyone else because Knight Sorrow was angry. He couldn't withstand the violent attacks from his anger. Faster! Faster! The Magic Dragon General was very anxious. His clone was flying at top speed. Being bombarded by Knight Sorrow's soul attack and material attack, the Magic Dragon General couldn't withstand it and kept retreating. Although Luo Yunyang used his Warblade to defend himself, the energy from Knight Sorrow's two poles kept attacking his body, causing his protective dragon flames to weaken. Great Emperor Reincarnation / Knight Sorrow's main body used his ultimate skill. After the main body used his ultimate skill, Knight Sorrow's clone also used his ultimate skill, Great Death Destruction / Knight Sorrow discovered that the Magic Dragon General's defense was no longer as watertight as it had been in the beginning, and time did not allow them to continue fighting so steadily. The Magic Dragon was a great Emperor Realm cultivator and was extremely fast. It wouldn't take long for the clone to teleport to the nearest city and then rush over. The halo of negative effects from the lost skill landed on the Magic Dragon General. Immediately, the Magic Dragon General's soul defense decreased, and the flames on its body became much weaker. Kill! With a low roar, Knight Sorrow's Samsara used Void Extreme Kill, while his doppelganger used Return Origin Kill, which was close to the concept of annihilation. The two rods seemed to pass through the void and appeared in front of the Magic Dragon General. One was the head, and the other was the dantian in the abdomen. Knight Sorrow was attacking the Dragon General's two vital points at the same time. The Magic Dragon General's sword blocked the attack on its abdomen, while its left hand turned into a dragon claw, blocking the attack on its forehead. The sound of metal clashing rang out. Knight Sorrow's attack was blocked by the Magic Dragon General's sword, but the sword was also deflected away. At this time, Knight Sorrow's Samsara used Void Extreme Kill to pierce the center of the Magic Dragon General's left claw. A purple halo rippled, and the Magic Dragon General's left claw was directly pierced through. The Magic Dragon General endured the pain and pulled its left claw to the left. The light did not enter its forehead, but pierced its left eye. The Magic Dragon General roared, and a light burst out from its head, shaking off the purple and black halos produced by Knight Sorrow's lost skill. The sword in its right hand swung, forcing Knight Sorrow to retreat. However, Knight Sorrow, who was forced to retreat, once again used his lost skill and launched a second attack. With the help of the soul extinguishing Crescent Blade, the two lost skills were released again. Everyone watching the battle tensed up. Everyone knew that Knight Sorrow was going to kill the Magic Dragon General, and it had reached a critical moment. At this time, the Magic Dragon General's condition had deteriorated. Its left claw was injured, and its left eye was pierced blind, which greatly affected it. After the halo produced by the lost skill covered the Magic Dragon General once again, Knight Sorrow's Samsara and Space Splitter slid down the sky, falling towards the Magic Dragon General. At this time, in the air dozens of miles away, the Magic Dragon General's clone appeared. When Qing Emperor and the others went to intercept it, the Magic Dragon General's clone roared, "Melt!" After the roar, the Magic Dragon General's clone directly disappeared. When it reappeared, it emerged from the Magic Dragon General's body and blocked in front of the main body. It appeared with the soul extinguishing Crescent Blade on its head. However, before it could react, Knight Sorrow's Samsara poured into its forehead, and then the energy burst annihilated its head. Space Splitter also pierced its dantian in the abdomen. At this time, the Magic Dragon General's main body quickly retreated and then shouted, "Explode!" Following the explosion, the Magic Dragon General's clone exploded, and the violent shockwave sent Knight Sorrow flying. The Magic Dragon General's main body didn't continue to fight with Knight Sorrow and continued to retreat. Run? Knight Sorrow naturally didn't want the Magic Dragon General to run away. He avoided the energy wave of the magic dragon general's clone's explosion and began to chase after it. However, the magic dragon general had already run some distance away. Night Sorrow chased after it, and the others also followed. Everyone was worried about Night Sorrow and wanted to know the result. At this time, Night Sorrow's main body and clone had merged into one, and they were closely chasing after the magic dragon general. Heaven falls and earth rends open. The magic dragon general roared in an ancient manner in Demon Blood City. Following the magic dragon general's roar, a series of explosions were heard, and a dark spatial passage appeared. The passage was full of evil energy. The magic dragon general used the evil dragon's flames to protect his body and rushed in with the power of heaven and earth. Then he turned around and fiercely slashed a few times. Collapse. After Night Sorrow arrived, the space began to collapse. Night Sorrow couldn't enter, and the magic dragon general didn't have a chance to chase after it. Night Sorrow helplessly shook his head and then put some Sara back into the sheath on his back. That's the passage to the celestial realm, but it's already been destroyed. He didn't give anyone a chance at all. Dragon Language appeared, wearing a blue dress. Actually, when a magic dragon general's clone appeared, Dragon Language also arrived, but she was watching in the dark. Then I'm still going to kill him, start a realm war, make everyone suffer, and then just leave? Night Sorrow was still a little angry. The passage is destroyed. It's not that easy to go to the celestial realm. Dragon Language shook her head. She also wanted to go to the celestial realm, but with the passage destroyed, there was no hope. Without this passage, I can't go to the celestial realm. Oof. He escaped this time, but he won't be able to escape again. Night Sorrow was a little unhappy that he didn't kill the magic dragon general. You should be content. He's an Emperor Realm cultivator, and you killed his clone. What else do you want? Dragon Language was a little speechless. Why should I be content? He deserves to die. Long Jean, who followed Dachura over with the god-slaying squad, said. He was now as angry as Night Sorrow. If it weren't for Dachura and Wu Lingfei's quick reaction, the god-slaying squad would have suffered heavy losses. Your Majesty, why are you so angry? Dragon Language looked Long Jean up and down. Who are you? Why do you care if I'm angry or not? Captain, I'm going to set the Demon Blood Palace on fire. The angry Long Jean planned to go back and set the palace on fire. Forget it, there's no point. Dragon Language, as a reward for not attacking this time, I'll consider bringing you along when I go to the celestial realm. Let's go back. Night Sorrow breathed out, adjusted his emotions, and flew back to the Demon Blood Palace with his people. Search for Cool Craftsman website on WeChat, follow the name of the new work, and read the full text. L equals and said. Chapter 1520. Genius 1, Second Remember Love, Go, / Little. I'll bring you an exciting novel to read. To read a book, please go to $_underscore website $. Greetings, Master. Yu Jun stood up and bowed to Lord Heavenly Lord. Good, very good. That night, follow me to the Origin Tao Celestial. Your father is powerful, but I'm not necessarily better at teaching others, Lord Heavenly Lord said with a smile. Shaluo, what about you? Night Sorrow looked at Yishaluo and asked. Father, Mother said that as long as I'm willing to work hard and cultivate with her, I'll definitely be able to dominate the world in the future. Yi Shaluo's voice was a little soft because he knew it was a little impolite. You bastard. Night Sorrow was speechless. Why am I a bastard? Can't I teach an expert? Dachura glanced at Night Sorrow. You guys win. Night Sorrow smiled helplessly. I like you too, child. Your mother specializes in the death attribute and will guide you well. If you have any questions about the time attribute, you can look for me at the Origin Tao Celestial anytime. Even if you're not my disciple, I'm willing to teach you, Lord Heavenly Lord said. Yi Shang and Mandela stood up and cupped their hands when they heard the words of Yuan Dao, Lord of Heaven. This was broad-mindedness and boldness. Cultivators more or less had some sectarian bias. Their consummate skills were kept secret and would not be passed on. However, Yuan Dao, Lord of Heaven, had displayed an extraordinary broad-mindedness. Domain Lord, what are you guys doing? Lord, Heavenly Lord, pulled Knight Sorrow and Dechira to sit down. Yi Shaluo, thanks Lord. Yi Shaluo bowed to Lord Heavenly Lord. 9SJ version BM version RB, Domain Lord. The Origin Dao Celestial will open up soon because the threat of the spatial tunnel no longer exists. Lord Heavenly Lord made his decision. This is a good thing. The Origin Dao Celestial has always been too mysterious. Lord Heavenly Lord also wants to recruit disciples. Knight Sorrow suggested. I will. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord nodded. After drinking and chatting, everyone decided to build a domain chief's manor in the 9-domain world. First of all, the 9-domain world was a young world with a long lifespan and room for development in the future. Knight Sorrow was also from the 9-domain world. Furthermore, the 9-domain world was connected to the main cities of the 3 major worlds, which was also more convenient. Regarding this Knight Sorrow, he didn't have any objections. However, he stated his own request. That was, in the near future, the various major powers wouldn't be able to enter the 9-domain world. High-level cultivators would only be able to visit their families and friends for fun. They wouldn't be able to search for opportunities. We will do it. Heaven Monarch Shun, who was the first to express his stance. The others were the same. Everyone understood that the 9-domains world was a new world, and cultivators needed time. Haha. Qing Emperor, you're in luck this time. Your Qing Emperor's dynasty has already built a city in the 9 regions world. You have the advantage, said the Red Emperor. Red Moon, you're thinking too much. Back then, because of the celestial sect's threat, I listened to Knight Sorrow's suggestion and built a city in the 9-domains world. Although the city is being built, I've banned anyone from walking outside, said the Qing Emperor. Knight Sorrow, you used the skeleton of a Heaven Monarch-level ice dragon to set up the Icebound formation. Aren't you afraid that the dragons will come after you? Asked the dragon language, who had been drinking and drinking without speaking much. I'm not afraid. Uncle Lai agreed to it. Uncle Lai is the ice dragon, said Knight Sorrow with a smile. The ice dragon gave it to you. All right. The dragon language didn't know what to say because this shouldn't have happened. After the chat, Knight Sorrow, Tai Shu Yin, and the others arranged for the guests to stay in the VIP building before returning to the city in the sky with their families. Knight Sorrow called Yi Yujun to his side and sat down. When it comes to apprenticeship, the first thing is attitude. It has nothing to do with our status in the Yi clan, said Knight Sorrow as he looked at his son. Father, I understand. Yi Yujun nodded. Attitude determines success. You must remember this. I believe in you. Knight Sorrow patted his son's shoulder. Father, you are the pride of us siblings. We will work hard to become your pride, said Yi Yujun. Although you haven't apprenticed yet, your grandmasters and granduncles won't be stingy with their guidance. If you don't understand something, you can ask them. Auntie Aluo is also fine, said Knight Sorrow as he looked at his 3 children. Father, don't worry. Yi Qingyin and the others nodded. Yi Shaluo, I'm worried about you the most. You must be calm. You must be calm in everything, said Knight Sorrow as he looked at his youngest son. I've disappointed you today. Yi Shaluo's voice was a bit low. No, I know you've changed a lot. Take it slow. Knight Sorrow smiled at his son. Son, why are you telling me so much? You're the leader of the region. Can't you teach your son yourself? Said Yu Qing. Today I want to apologize to you, mother, and everyone else. I may have to leave home for a while, said Knight Sorrow as he put his arm around his youngest son's shoulder. Father, where are you going? Yi Shaluo's eyes were filled with disappointment. Sky Monarch isn't the highest level of a cultivator. The path of cultivation is endless. Above the Sky Monarch is the Emperor Realm. Father, can you let me cultivate to the Emperor Realm? Asked Knight Sorrow as he looked at Yi Shaluo. Okay, I miss you, Father. I'll go to the Heaven's Sealing Hall. Yi Shaluo nodded. Yes, the same goes for the rest of you. In the past few years, my clone in the Heaven's Sealing Hall has been studying alchemy weapon refinement, and array formation. I won't study it anymore. If you have any problems or want to solve them, come to the Heaven Sealing Hall to find me, said Night Sorrow to his children. Yuqing sighed helplessly. She felt sorry for her son, but there were some things that she couldn't stop. Qing, you have to think about it. It's because of my hard work that I have achieved what I have today. We should be happy for my son's achievements. Didn't you hear the Sky Monarch say that this is an unprecedented achievement in the 3,000 worlds of the chaotic world? Iwio said. After everything was settled, the 9-region city began to build the domain chief's manor. All the major forces contributed resources. The people in charge were Qing Emperor Tang Jianfeng and Sky Monarch Shenhu. The three of them were the representatives of the three major world groups. They would also be the elders of the domain chief's manor in the future. Night Sorrow spent every day with his wife and children. Yi Yujun officially became Sky Monarch Yuandao's disciple and held a ceremony. After staying at home for a few days, Night Sorrow decided to solve the problem of the celestial sex Ling Tian. Otherwise, it would always be a hidden danger. He was worried about leaving. After asking someone to divine again and confirming that the celestial sect was still in the Kuan lower world, Night Sorrow set off. The Kuan lower world was surrounded by the star domain storm. However, Night Sorrow wanted to try. He wasn't afraid of the spatial turbulence within a domain. He could enter if he had the opportunity. Chapter 1521. The headquarters of the Celestial Sect in the Celestial Realm didn't ask Ling Tian and the others to go back because they hadn't completed the task. Ling Tian could only accept the order. He wanted to go to the Celestial Realm, but he also knew that without the support and approval of the headquarters, he wouldn't be able to survive in the Celestial Realm without a foundation. He could only wait for the right time to find a high-level world to plunder the origin energy. Only then could he complete the task. After Night Sorrow set out, he teleported many times between different worlds. When he came to the space world barrier closest to the co-immortal world, he couldn't teleport anymore. Through the space world barrier, Night Sorrow found that the energy in the space turbulence was extremely violent, full of destructive and void energy. Among all the elemental energies in the world, the most violent was the destructive energy, and the most difficult to defend against was the void energy that could annihilate everything. If it's all destructive energy, there's no way to get through it. But the area with the void energy in the middle is an opportunity, Night Sorrow murmured. The void energy and Night Sorrow's genuine chi were of the same origin. If Night Sorrow used the void energy to protect himself, it would be very effective. After all, they were of the same origin. The void energy in the turbulence would be less aggressive and invasive. After taking a sip of wine, Night Sorrow tore the space world barrier and started to fly. Night Sorrow had to go through the turbulence in the space world to set up the transmission formation. He had a much bigger advantage than others, and he didn't need to take others with him. He had tried it. No matter which space world origin it was, it didn't reject him. The Qing Emperor needed 2 or 3 years to set up the transmission formation between the Xuanhuan Great World and the Samsara Great World. It took a lot of time to find people. People who didn't belong to this world couldn't break the space world barrier and enter. QI on UWN, the Qing Emperor entered a world. He offered a reward for finding people in the next space world. After finding them, he promised a high price and signed a promise. Then he used a space treasure to carry them through the turbulence in the space turbulence to the next space world barrier. Then he tore the space world barrier and asked the person who carried them to bring the transmission crystal in. Only then did he set up the transmission formation step by step. Night Sorrow was now the deluxe Merit Grand Sage, as well as the master of the primal chaos realm. He had the acknowledgement of the 3 world essences, and the other high-level and low-level worlds would not treat him as an enemy. Little Kong, in such a strong spatial turbulence, how long can you hold on if you give me time to rest? Night Sorrow asked as he flew. As long as we have enough Saint Spirit Stones, it won't be a problem, Shao Kong said. Right now, we lack everything but Holy Spirit stones, haha. When it came to Holy Spirit stones, Knight Sorrow was very confident. He had several million in wealth, and Lai Bing had given him 3 million. In addition to his previous savings, he didn't have to worry about Holy Spirit stones. While flying, Knight Sorrow felt the pressure. The spatial turbulence here was too strong. Back then, Haoyan City, which was the current 9-region city, was wrapped in a spatial storm. Compared to the current spatial storm, it was like a drop in the ocean. The spatial turbulence here carried with it a strong suppression of the world's grand momentum. Ordinary spatial turbulence had its own laws, and the violent places had the additional will of the world. However, it definitely wouldn't have such a strong grand momentum. He couldn't comprehend it. Due to the restrictions of the world's shackles, Knight Sorrow was unable to comprehend the grand momentum of the heavenly Tao. In other words, he couldn't even become a half-step sovereign. However, Knight Sorrow knew that once he broke through the shackles and comprehended the grand momentum of the world, cultivating here would definitely be much easier. When he was tired, Knight Sorrow entered the Haotian Divine Pagoda to recover. With the time acceleration here, 2 hours of Knight Sorrow's rest was just a short while outside. After resting, Knight Sorrow continued flying. In the past, it wasn't difficult to set up a transportation formation in the Kuan lower realm. That was because once the spatial turbulence passed, it would be a period of stability. Due to the restrictions of the world essences, King was unable to set up a transportation formation. It was always the sage kings who set it up in the spatial world at the most suitable time and the closest distance. Others couldn't do it like Knight Sorrow. While traveling in the spatial turbulence, Knight Sorrow was also tempering and condensing his vital energy. Back then, he had cultivated and consolidated his cultivation like this. It's a pretty good place. I'll really have to come here in the future. Knight Sorrow muttered. There were very few places that could help him condense his cultivation, but this place could. As he wasn't in a hurry, Knight Sorrow walked and stopped every now and then. On this day, while traveling, Knight Sorrow was stunned. Ahead of him was a zone of destructive energy. There were no streaks of void energy. In other words, he had to pass through this zone of destructive energy. There was no other way. Knight Sorrow increased his protective energy to the maximum and started traveling. With the invasion of destructive energy, Knight Sorrow's protective energy began to deplete rapidly. When his cultivation was depleted by more than half, Knight Sorrow wanted a rest. Then, the strand of colored energy in his body that didn't listen to his commands began to move quickly. The colored energy moved at full speed and merged with Knight Sorrow's protective energy shield. At this time, Knight Sorrow's soul power easily merged with the colored energy. Then he could control it. He was too happy. For many years, Knight Sorrow had been trying to study and refine this energy. However, he couldn't do it. When his soul power merged, it was destroyed. When the void energy went up, there was no way to solve it. Today, when it was suppressed by destructive energy, this energy moved and merged with Knight Sorrow's soul power. Knight Sorrow was very excited. He knew that this was destructive energy. It was the purest form of destructive energy. It had to be known that it was produced in the most tyrannical, destructive, lightning tribulation. Knight Sorrow's body flashed and entered the Haotian God Pagoda. He sat down cross-legged and began to study this destructive energy. At this time, this destructive energy was moving quickly in Knight Sorrow's body. Although it was tyrannical, under the protection and control of Knight Sorrow's soul power, it didn't cause any damage to Knight Sorrow's body. Feeling something, Knight Sorrow pointed with a finger of his right hand. The colored energy pulsed at the tip of his finger. Knight Sorrow's body originally had 3 types of destructive energy. Under Knight Sorrow's careful study, they had merged and strengthened. However, he couldn't control them. Now that he could control it, it was a trump card. Knight Sorrow knew that once he thought of a way to strengthen this destructive energy and then research a destructive technique, he would have one more trump card. Knight Sorrow had seen cultivators of the destruction attribute. Sandalwood and Dragon Language were both of them. However, Night Sorrow was sure that the destructive energy in their bodies wasn't as pure as his. Sandalwood's destructive energy was of the fire attribute, while the dragon language's was more tyrannical. However, there were other types of energy that weren't pure enough. He had to cultivate and strengthen it. If he could cultivate a destructive skill, it would come in handy. Chapter 1524. Genius 1, Second Remember Love, Go/Little. Here's a wonderful novel for you to read. After arriving at Sky City, Night Sorrow called for Dechira. Assemble a team of Bloodstrike guards and wait for me at 9 Chong Building. What's wrong? Dechira was surprised to see Night Sorrow's murderous expression. This had not happened in a long time. How dare you bully the disciples of Medicine Valley? You must be tired of living. My senior sister has been kidnapped, Night Sorrow said. Okay, they will be at 9 Chong Building soon. Dechira was furious after hearing Night Sorrow's words. Night Sorrow brought Tang Qianqian to 9 Chong Building through the teleportation array. Fei Xiao, bring your men and follow me. Night Sorrow shouted to Fei Xiao, who was guarding 9 Chong Building. Young master, we will follow you, Hong Yi said. She could tell that Night Sorrow was going to kill someone. Okay, you two follow me. Senior Sister Tang, do you know the location? Night Sorrow asked Tang Qianqian. I know. Zhan Feng is from Green Great Island. They should be going there since they kidnapped Junior Sister Jingyi, Tang Qianqian said. Give me the map, Night Sorrow shouted to Hong Yi. After taking out the map, Night Sorrow looked at it and found that it was an island in the original Sky Seizing Island. It was a subordinate force of Sky Seizing Island. At this moment, Dechira arrived at 9 Chong Building with a team of Bloodstrike guards. Aluo, Sky Seizing Island is now under the rule of Dark Abyss. I need the fastest way to Green Great Island. Dechira pointed to Green Great Island on the map. How can I get to that area the fastest way? Dechira had not been in charge of anything recently, so she was not very clear. However, she had brought along the commander of the Bloodthirsty Legion. You can go there directly. The City Lord's mansion of Green Great Island belongs to the Dark Abyss. Together with the Green Great Sect, they manage Green Great Island. Then let's go, Night Sorrow ordered. After 2 teleportations, the group arrived at Green Great Island. Night Sorrow brought his men into the City Lord's mansion. Inside the City Lord's mansion were the troops of the Dark Abyss. When they saw Dechira and Night Sorrow, they all bowed in greeting. Night Sorrow and the others knew about Night Sorrow. I'm looking for someone. Do you know Zhan Feng? Night Sorrow didn't stand on ceremony and directly asked. This was because the matter was very urgent. If he was late, something irreversible might happen. Zhan Tai. This surname only belongs to the descendants of Zhan Tai Yang. We did not exterminate the Zhan Tai clan. The Qinghong sect is their power. The person in charge of the Dark Abyss said. Let's go, Night Sorrow shouted. The person in charge of the Dark Abyss led Night Sorrow and the others through Green Great Island's teleportation circle and arrived at the Qinghong sect. After arriving at the Qinghong sect, Night Sorrow activated his soul power and began to investigate. After a while, he found Lin Jingyi in a courtyard. Her arms were chained behind her back, and she was hanging on the roof beam. A man was standing in front of her and poking her occasionally. Damn it, Night Sorrow roared. His body flashed, and he flew towards the direction he was investigating. You can forgive the sins of the heavens, but you can't live with the sins you bring upon yourself. Kill them. Dechira checked the direction Night Sorrow was flying in and immediately understood what was going on. He then gave the order to kill. The Qinghong sect didn't even have 2 sovereigns. How could they resist? Sure, Xue had brought along sovereigns. The Qing Emperor's guardian team that Fei Xiao had brought was also very strong. After a while, the Qinghong sect was in a mess. After Night Sorrow flew to the courtyard, he waved his hand and sent the man flying. Then, with a shake of his right hand, he broke the chains and put Lin Jingyi down. It's okay now. Eat this. Night Sorrow supported Lin Jingyi and fed her a drop of life soul fluid. Who are you? How dare you interfere with the business of the Qinghong sect? The injured man shouted at Night Sorrow. After Zhang Taiyang died, I didn't kill all the forces he belonged to. However, this time, you asked for it. No one can bully the people around me just because of how good their background is or how strong the sect behind them is. No one can bully the people around me. Night Sorrow said coldly. Equals, 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 equals. Smiley face. Who are you? The man felt that things were not going well. He was Zhang Taiyang's descendant, Zhang Taiyang. After Zhang Taiyang died, the people of the Zhang Tai clan came to the Qinghong sect established by his son. However, because they were used to being arrogant in the past, their evil nature was ingrained in their bones. My name is Night Sorrow. When you die, you will know who killed you. Night Sorrow's right hand vibrated with energy. He planned to end this Zhang Taiyang. Junior Brother Night, wait. I want to take care of him personally. Lin Jingyi felt better after eating the life soul fluid. Sure. Night Sorrow's right hand exploded with energy. He grabbed Zhang Taiyang and wrapped Lin Jingyi with energy and flew towards the Qinghong sect square. At this moment, the square was full of people. Sky Seizing Island used to do all kinds of evil. I endured it and didn't find fault with you. Now that I found out that your evil nature is in your bones, there's no need to keep you alive. Sure, Xue, kill them all. Dechira's body emitted killing intent. This matter was his responsibility. If Lin Jingyi was fine, it would be a pity if something happened to her. No need. Destroy their cultivation and let them die on their own. Night Sorrow stretched out his hand and pulled Dechira. He didn't want to see Dechira tainted with too much killing. Sure, Xue, do as Night Sorrow says. Dechira nodded. Don't worry, Domain Lord and Lord Ruler. Drag them away. Sure, Xue shouted to the Bloodstrike guards. Senior Sister Lin, I'm a little late. Night Sorrow looked at Lin Jingyi, who seemed to have recovered. Not late at all. Thank you, Master Knight. Domain Lord. Lin Jingyi changed the way she addressed him. Night Sorrow's current status was different. Senior Sister Lin, just call me Junior Brother Knight or Night Sorrow. I'll leave this Jean phone to you. I've said it before. No one can bully you just because they have a backer. Not today, not in the future, Night Sorrow said. Thank you, Junior Brother Knight. Tang Qianqian and Lin Jingyi bowed to Night Sorrow again. Heavenly Monarch was a realm that cultivators yearned for. Cultivators at this realm had to be respected by other cultivators. Furthermore, Night Sorrow was the domain lord of the primal chaos realm. If you have any problems in the future, you must look for me. Don't be careless. Delaying will only ruin things, Night Sorrow said. Got it, bastard. We trusted you and wanted to train with you. Yet you conspired against us. Not only did you steal our things, but you're also shameless. Lin Jingyi took a few steps forward and kicked Zhang Feng, who was being held down by Fei Xiao. Then, she stepped forward and kicked Zhang Feng between his legs. Because her cultivation hadn't recovered, her true qi wasn't violent. A few kicks wouldn't kill him. Thus, it was a cruel torture for Zhang Feng. Chapter 1530. After checking again and making sure the surroundings were safe, Night Sorrow sunk the Haoyan God Pagoda to the bottom of the river. Then, his main body entered and began to cultivate. After entering the mastery of the will of destruction, he had to deduce and comprehend it on a deeper level. Although Night Sorrow's current realm was deep, his soul power was strong, and his deduction ability was high. It still needed time. After glancing at the river, Night Sorrow's clone set up a king-level interrealm transmission array and then hit it with an illusion array. Then, he flew away to complete some missions. 9 Regions World. Night Sorrow's clone came out from the Heaven Sealing Hall and nodded to the group of people waiting with a smile. Let's go to the tea house over there to talk. The area close to the Heaven Sealing Hall was filled with buildings belonging to the 9 Regions City Lord Mansion, such as the Chamber of Commerce, the Alchemist Guild, the Blacksmith Guild, and so on. The only one that had nothing to do with the City Lord Mansion was the tea house. It was for Knight Sorrow's clone to rest in the Heaven Ceiling Hall and come out to drink tea and chat with friends and family. The owners were Chun Chun and Knight Sorrow. At the tea house, Sikong Chuyu made tea for everyone. "How's the situation?" Qing Emperor asked. "After going through the wind tribulation and fire tribulation, we successfully passed through the passage and arrived in the celestial realm. Disciple's main body has already hidden to cultivate. My clone went out to understand the situation and then made some suitable arrangements according to the situation." Knight Sorrow said, "Be careful." Misty Rain reminded Knight Sorrow mainly because he was worried. In the celestial realm, Knight Sorrow controlled his clone to move forward, and his soul power was also constantly probing. At the same time, Knight Sorrow also had some understanding of the celestial realm. The sky was higher, the vast aura was stronger, and the space was more stable. When Knight Sorrow used his full strength, there were only slight cracks in the space, which was several times stronger than the Great World. #L, forever exempt from our FL look. Knight Sorrow understood the vastness of the celestial realm. There were many realms, but there was only one celestial realm. It was the core of all realms. After flying for half a day and traveling more than 2 million kilometers, Knight Sorrow finally saw a city. From afar, Knight Sorrow did scan. There was a defensive formation at the city gate, and the one guarding it was king. The captain was a senior king. Knight Sorrow felt that it was more appropriate to position himself as a practitioner who had just left the mountain. Thinking of this, Knight Sorrow smiled. In fact, he was an aboriginal who had just arrived in the celestial realm and did not know anything. Retracting his aura, Knight Sorrow arrived at the city gates. After being stopped, he had to hand over 2 Saint Spirit stones before he was allowed to enter the city. Knight Sorrow was quite pleased that they didn't encounter any difficulties and were able to speak the same language. After entering the city, Knight Sorrow was very cautious as he sensed everything in the city. A newcomer needed to first understand the city so that he wouldn't make any mistakes. After walking around the city, Knight Sorrow found an inn and paid the spirit stones to stay. Yishang was drinking tea in the main hall of the inn, listening to others talk and gathering the information he needed to know. Among the practitioners, they talked about experience, who had gained what, and so on. Knight Sorrow did not obtain any valuable information, but a name caught his attention: the Eastern Hao Emperor. After staying in the inn for half a day, Knight Sorrow casually walked around the city. This was a city that Knight Sorrow had seen. The city was very big. Although it was not as big as the 3 main cities of the Primal Chaos realm, it was about the same as the main cities of the various factions. Many of the people walking on the streets were high-level practitioners. There were many king and sovereign lords, but Knight Sorrow realized that there were still very few heaven monarchs. When he came to this city called Flying Cloud City, he only saw 2 heaven monarchs. This made Knight Sorrow understand that not everyone in the celestial realm was an expert. Although the environment of the realm was better, every life had to cultivate step by step after being born. The children of heaven monarchs might have a good foundation and resources, but they would not soar to the sky in one go. They also had to cultivate slowly. Knight Sorrow went to a grocery store. Although it was called a grocery store, it was very big. It was at least as big as a first-class store in the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Knight Sorrow bought a map and a handwritten book of anecdotes. He wanted to understand some of the knowledge, so the handwritten book of anecdotes was more comprehensive. After leaving the grocery store, Knight Sorrow walked around and bought a few books about humanities. In other stores, Knight Sorrow bought maps. One map might not be accurate, but after comparing a few, he would be able to come to a conclusion. In the last store, Knight Sorrow bought a book called The Celestial Demon List. It introduced the experts of the celestial realm. After flipping through it, Knight Sorrow was interested. The Celestial Demon List introduced the people in detail. It also introduced the forces they belonged to. This was what he needed. Then, Knight Sorrow returned to the inn with his gains. Then, he started to study the map and handwritten book. As he studied, Night Sorrow realized that the celestial realm was very vast. Even with teleportation portals, it was not easy to travel everywhere. The celestial realm was too big. After comparing the maps that Night Sorrow had, the most detailed area was the map of the Donghao region in the celestial realm. The Donghao region was only a corner of the celestial realm. The strongest force in the Donghao region was the Donghao Mountain, and the leader was the Donghao Monarch. The Donghao region covered millions of miles, and the Donghao Mountain only occupied the core region. It was the leader of the power structure. There were many smaller forces in the vast territory below. Night Sorrow flipped through the map and closed it. He felt that these maps were not enough. If he wanted to understand the celestial realm and the Donghao region, he would have to go to a bigger city, or even Donghao City. Only then would he be able to understand in detail, analyze, and determine where to set up a teleportation portal. A teleportation portal could be set up anywhere, but Night Sorrow was very careful. It was related to the future of the Chaos Realm. If he did not choose a good location, he could face a disaster at any time. Night Sorrow chose a route and began to teleport. After a dozen teleportals, Night Sorrow arrived at Donghao City in the Donghao region. After exiting the teleportation portal, Night Sorrow looked back and heaved a sigh of relief. The teleportation portal in Donghao City also used King-grade teleportation crystals. This made Night Sorrow realize how precious Imperial-grade teleportation crystals were. Night Sorrow was stopped as soon as he exited the teleportation portal. Where is this Heaven Monarch from? This was the Heaven Monarch guarding the teleportation portal. It was not just one, but two Heaven Monarchs. They were all wearing the same long robes with cloud patterns embroidered on the shoulders. That was the symbol of a member of the Donghao Mountain. I am from the Flying Cloud City. I am an itinerant cultivator. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and said, "If you have any grievances to resolve, please report to the City Lord Mansion. The City Lord Mansion will give you an explanation. However, Donghao City does not prohibit martial arts. Please do not make a mistake." An older Heaven Monarch spoke. It was a warning, but it was also respectful. "Speak. The fifth update has arrived." Chapter 1531. If he was an ordinary cultivator, these two Heaven Monarchs would not say anything and just do things according to the rules. However, since a Heaven Monarch was here, they still had to show some respect. You two think too much. Night Sorrow is just out for a walk. There is no grudge or hatred between us, Night Sorrow said. The two Heaven Monarchs guarding the teleportation array nodded and did not say anything. Heaven Monarchs disdained to lie. Night Sorrow said that he was here for a walk, so he was here for a walk. They believed him. Walking in Donghao City, Night Sorrow felt the grandeur. Donghao City was much bigger than Reincarnation City and Xianwang City. The guards on the street were all monarchs and even Heaven Monarchs. When they saw Night Sorrow, they took a few more glances but did not say anything. After finding a restaurant, Night Sorrow ordered a pot of wine and 2 side dishes. He drank the wine while listening to others talk. The conversation was about a battle. The table was talking about how the young master of Donghao Mountain had killed an emperor-level scale dragon. Night Sorrow understood that the young master of Donghao Mountain was also an emperor-level cultivator. Otherwise, he would not have such a battle record. At this time, a man sat opposite Night Sorrow. "Daoist friend, your back is not bad. I'm a blacksmith. Can I have a look at it?" Night Sorrow looked at the man with an intermediate-level king cultivation but did not say anything. He found that the man's eyes were not straight enough. "I feel that you are imposing. What's wrong with having a look?" The man smiled. "Sorry, weapons are not for others." Night Sorrow refused directly. "Lu San, are you starting to lie again?" A woman entered the restaurant with 2 attendants. "Madam, didn't I compensate you for what happened last time? Don't chase me and ruin my business." The man named Lu San glanced at the woman and left the restaurant. "Thank you for your advice, Mississippi." Night Sorrow cupped his hands at the woman sitting next to him. "It's nothing. You are vigilant and will not be deceived by him." The woman smiled and nodded at Night Sorrow. Knight Sorrow was a little puzzled. It was unbelievable that a mid-level king could fool a heaven monarch. Donghao City has a rule that forbids martial arts. His cultivation level doesn't matter. If he took your weapon and didn't return it to you, would you kill him? If you kill him, you'll break the rules. If you don't kill him, he won't give you the weapon, so you can only use resources to redeem it. Lucen specializes in this. The woman could see Knight Sorrow's confusion. It's my first time here, so I don't know much about the situation. Thank you. Knight Sorrow expressed his gratitude once again. Lucen was good at grasping weaknesses, and it was easy for him to succeed. The woman left after drinking the tea. Knight Sorrow still sat there and didn't leave. He felt that the celestial realm was indeed complicated. In the primal chaos domain, no one dared to do this. No one dared to challenge the dignity of a heaven monarch. Knight Sorrow found an inn in the city and stayed there. Then, he tried to get used to life in the celestial realm. Only by understanding more would he be able to fit in. As he got to know more, Knight Sorrow understood some of the celestial realm situation. Beginner Emperor Realm cultivators were called emperors. Intermediate Emperor Realm cultivators were called emperors. Advanced Emperor Realm cultivators were called emperors. They all had titles behind their names. Emperor Donghao was an Intermediate Emperor Realm cultivator. The top few on the Celestial Demon list were all emperors. The only special one was called the Demon King. First, the most famous one was a woman. She was the Ethereal Battle Empress of the Ethereal Empire. Knight Sorrow knew that to have a battle title, it meant that she was either battle-hungry or extremely powerful. The one that caught Knight Sorrow's attention was the Celestial Saint Emperor. The force under his command was the Celestial Sect. He was a little annoyed and resentful. The Celestial Realm couldn't have two Celestial Sects. It must be the headquarters of the Celestial Sect in the Primal Chaos domain. This was because the Celestial Saint Emperor's name was Ling Wuji. Knight Sorrow also saw a force called Yuan Daotian. It was a sea force, but it was rather far from the Donghao City. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow felt that it would be better to go to the Ethereal Empire and find a safe place to build a base. The Ethereal Empire was called an empire, but it was actually a force that had been established. It was the safest place in the Primal Chaos domain. According to the records, the Ethereal Empire's territory had never been invaded. It was the safest place. Indeed, the Yuan Daotian was related to the Primal Chaos domain's Yuan Daotian. It was a good choice to go there. However, Knight Sorrow felt that the Yuan Daotian in the Primal Chaos domain was just an inheritance brought there by one person. It was hard to say if the Yuan Daotian would recognize it. Also, Knight Sorrow didn't want to follow anyone. He was here to break through his shackles and increase his strength. He wasn't here to look at anyone's face. After making his decision, Knight Sorrow set off. After settling things, he could set up a teleportation array. After continuously teleporting for 7 days, Knight Sorrow arrived at the Ethereal Empire's territory. This was still relatively close to the Donghao City. If it was a further area, or an area without a teleportation array, it would be very difficult to reach. The Ethereal Empire's Imperial City was at the foot of the Ethereal Sacred Mountain. Knight Sorrow arrived at the Ethereal Empire's Imperial City. Donghao City was very majestic and prosperous. However, compared to the Ethereal Empire's Imperial City, it was a far cry. Without much effort, Knight Sorrow got a map of the Ethereal Empire. Knight Sorrow decided to build a base near a big lake outside the Ethereal Empire's territory. It was already far away from the core region of the Ethereal Empire. It was close to another force, Boundless Pavilion, and the Donghao City. Boundless Pavilion was a mid-tier force. This place called Starmoon Lake was a lawless area. The Ethereal Empire didn't rule or care about it. It was also a place that Boundless Pavilion and the surrounding forces didn't dare to touch. They couldn't afford to offend the Ethereal Empire. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow decided to find a suitable place to build a base near the Starmoon Lake. It was safer here. After making his decision, Knight Sorrow rushed towards the Starmoon Lake. The closest city to the Star Moon Lake with a teleportation array was the ethereal Empire's Greenwater City. It was over 10 million miles away from the Star Moon Lake. After a few teleportations, Knight Sorrow arrived at Greenwater City and took a look around. He then left Greenwater City and flew towards the Star Moon Lake. As he wasn't in a hurry, Knight Sorrow took 2 days to arrive at the Star Moon Lake. After arriving at the Star Moon Lake, Knight Sorrow began to explore. He wanted to find a suitable place to build a base. In half a month, Knight Sorrow had explored the surroundings of the Star Moon Lake. It wasn't that Knight Sorrow was slow. It was just that the Star Moon Lake was too big. It was millions of square miles. After looking around and studying a few potential strongholds, Yishan began to explore the Star Moon Lake. He had to be cautious. If there was an Emperor-level demon beast lying in the lake, wouldn't that be like provoking the Almighty? Wouldn't he be asking for trouble? While flying above the Star Moon Lake to check if there were any hidden dangers, Knight Sorrow discovered an island. The island was very big, with an area of more than 10,000 square miles. After landing on the island and exploring, Knight Sorrow didn't find any powerful monster beasts. There were a few Saint King level monster beasts that ran away when they saw him. After exploring, Knight Sorrow felt that this place was better than the few locations he had chosen. The Ethereal Empire didn't care about this island. Perhaps they hadn't discovered it yet. It was very suitable for Knight Sorrow to build a base. Speak. The 6th update has arrived. Chapter 1532. At the core of the island, Knight Sorrow first set up an illusion array. Then, he began to set up a teleportation array. It was not easy to set up an Emperor-grade teleportation array. He had to be very careful. There could not be any problems. Once there was a problem, he would be in big trouble. Knight Sorrow's doppelganger set up the array. His original body also set off from the Donghao district and headed towards Star Moon Lake. This would be his stronghold in the future. Knight Sorrow planned to stay here and cultivate slowly. The first time he set up an Emperor-grade teleportation array, Knight Sorrow spent a month and tested it repeatedly. This time, it was relatively easier for Knight Sorrow to set it up. However, it was also more time-consuming. It took him nearly 20 days to set it up. At this time, his original body also arrived and cultivated beside the teleportation array. After everything was set up, Knight Sorrow used his energy to test the teleportation array again. When he felt that it was safe, he inserted the teleportation crystal. Seeing that the teleportation crystal lit up, Knight Sorrow inserted a Saint Spirit Stone. Ordinary Interim teleportation arrays had a crystal slot because one Saint Spirit Stone was enough to support the teleportation. However, Knight Sorrow was setting up an Emperor-grade teleportation array. He was worried that there would not be enough Saint Spirit Stones to support the teleportation. Therefore, he directly made a large slot that could store more than 10 Saint Spirit Stones at a time. After feeling it for a while, Knight Sorrow's doppelganger activated the teleportation array and returned to the 9-domain world. Then he walked around the Domain Lord's mansion and returned to the city in the sky. Several Lords of Heaven from the Domain Lord's mansion had arrived. Knight Sorrow's return meant that the teleportation array was set up. This was good news for everyone. 6 Senior Sister, let's not drink tea. Let's have some wine. Knight Sorrow was also very happy. As everyone drank, Knight Sorrow explained the current situation. Domain Lord, you said that our stronghold is in the no man's land. But if they really want to attack, how are we going to withstand it? Heaven Lord Shun, who is still worried. Where there are people, there will be conflicts. It's unrealistic for our chaotic realm to find a paradise to develop. The only way to develop is to improve our strength. The celestial sect of the celestial realm is very strong. It's hard to say when they will cause trouble for our chaotic realm. We don't know the methods of the imperial realm cultivators. The only thing that can guarantee our safety is our own strength, Knight Sorrow said. Domain Lord, do you have any plans? Tang Jianfeng asked. Let's head over right now and build a city first. We'll prepare the materials and send them over. The teleportation will cost us some Saint Spirit Stones, but it's better than going out to buy materials and exposing ourselves, Night Sorrow said. Everyone nodded because Night Sorrow's idea was feasible. Also, let's discuss who's going and who's not. My personal suggestion is that you can go, but you can't leave Star Moon Island unless you're a high-level king because the risk is too high, Night Sorrow said. Okay, then we'll go prepare. We'll prepare the materials from the 3 realms of the Chaotic Realm and send them over to build the city, Tang Jianfeng suggested. Then let's start preparing. Regarding the construction of the city, I'll leave it to you, Heaven Lords, Night Sorrow said. What about you? Dachira asked with a smile. She was relieved that Night Sorrow was safe. My original body is cultivating, and my clone is traveling the world. Since we've entered the Celestial Realm, we naturally have to integrate into the Celestial Realm. Level 9 is a blank for us. We lack cultivation methods, alchemy methods, and refining methods. We need to get them, Night Sorrow said. Dachira didn't say anything else. She was relieved that Night Sorrow's original body was cultivating while his clone was traveling. At the very least, Wuyo's life was at stake. After the family banquet, under everyone's impatient mood, Yishang led a group of people and teleported to the Heaven Realm. After arriving at the Heaven Realm, everyone felt it for a while. Everyone felt different. This place is not bad. Let's stabilize and develop first. Building the city is not a problem, but the defense formation is difficult. We can set up the formation of the Heaven Lord Realm, but it can't stop the attack of the Imperial Realm cultivators, Yuan Dao Heaven Lord said. The Imperial Realm cultivators can't attack us like that, right? Let's set it at the Heaven Lord Realm first and then slowly study it, Night Sorrow said. Everyone else nodded. Things were already developing in a good direction. After the discussion, the plan to build the city was set. Night Sorrow, what do you plan to do next? Dachira asked. Become an Imperial Realm cultivator as soon as possible. Only then will we have the capital to establish ourselves. Everyone has been a Heaven Lord for many years and has accumulated enough experience. Let's all try to work hard. Night Sorrow looked at the group and said. Finally, his gaze fell on Dachira. In Night Sorrow's heart, Dachira was the most likely person to become an Imperial Realm cultivator. All right, don't worry about the construction here. We will take care of it, Tang Jianfeng said. My original body is cultivating. You may not be able to contact him. If anything happens, immediately inform my clone in the Heaven Sealing Grand Hall. I will know what is going on, Night Sorrow said. After the arrangements were made, Night Sorrow took out a tent and brewed a pot of tea. He thought about the next step. Night Sorrow was confident that there was no problem with his foundation. What he needed now was comprehension. Night Sorrow's original body was cultivating in many aspects. He was comprehending the destruction will, the space-time will, and the battle intent and force. Night Sorrow also had some understanding of entering the Imperial Realm. It was the mastery of the force of heaven and earth. Battle intent and killing intent were the embryonic forms of force. Of course, this was different from King's will. Attribute, will, and battle intent were completely different concepts. Battle intent and killing intent were forces themselves. It was just that one's force was different from the force of heaven and earth. Dachira's clone accompanied Night Sorrow while his original body stopped cultivating and went to the Dark Abyss to make arrangements. In addition, the Qing Emperor and the others' original bodies stayed on Star Moon Island while their clones went to the Star Moon Lake to scout. If there were suitable construction resources, they could use them locally. Groups of people came from the Chaos Realm. However, they were all the core members of the major forces and the Qing Emperor's dynasty's craftsmen. After everything started, Night Sorrow planned to leave. He wanted to take a look around. He had a lot of resources. If there was an auction, he could participate. In addition, Night Sorrow planned to join the Godfiend Castle. The Godfiend Castle was a force of the Union. In terms of influence, it surpassed all the top forces. Its existence was comparable to the Tianji Tower in the Nine Regions world. However, it was more mysterious. They could accept all kinds of missions, resource missions, hunting missions, and so on. Every member had a code name. No one knew who the true master of the God-Fiend Castle was. A monarch had once been killed by the God-Fiend Castle. As long as you could pay a sufficient price, you could even kill a monarch. This was the God-Fiend Castle. It fully displayed the law of the jungle. Chapter 1533. However, there were some restrictions on joining the God-Devil Castle. Only cultivators above the monarch level could join. King-level people didn't even want to join. Knight Sorrow didn't tell anyone about this mainly because he didn't want them to feel pressured and worry about him. Besides, Knight Sorrow wasn't afraid of anything. If the monarch could survive in the God-Devil Castle, he naturally wouldn't have a problem. As long as it wasn't an emperor, he was confident that he could fight. If it was a rookie emperor, Knight Sorrow wasn't afraid at all. After scouting the surroundings of Starmoon Lake again and taking a look at the tense construction, Knight Sorrow left. Once he decided on something, he would do it without hesitation. This was Knight Sorrow's character. When he reached Green Water City, Knight Sorrow took the teleportation array to Ethereal Imperial City. There were people guarding the teleportation array in Ethereal Imperial City, but they were very imposing. They didn't ask Knight Sorrow anything. Because of what? Because he was confident. If anyone was looking for trouble, he would kill them. There was no need to warn them or inform them of the rules. If they broke the rules, he would kill them. It was that simple and domineering. Yishang went to an inn and stayed for a while before heading to the God-Fiend Castle. He wanted to ask about it in detail. Some time ago, he only understood the situation of the God-Devil Castle from the handbook. He wasn't clear about the details. If the conditions were harsh, then he didn't have to join. When he arrived at the God-Devil Castle, Knight Sorrow was led in by the service staff. Then he was asked what mission he wanted. He took out the mission and submitted it for evaluation. "Hello, I am here to ask about the conditions of joining the God-Devil Castle." Knight Sorrow said, "Okay, please wait a moment." This woman who looked to be in her 30s but was already a high-level king said. With her cultivation, she was only a staff member hired by the God-Devil Castle. This woman went to her room and took a form. You can fill in the form or not. I will pass it to the higher-ups, and they will make the decision. Holding the form, Knight Sorrow took a look at it. He wrote Heaven Monarch in the cultivation column and 170 years old in the age column. Other than that, he didn't write his name or background. Originally, Knight Sorrow only wanted to write his cultivation level and nothing else. However, he felt that there would be an advantage if he wrote his age. Besides, he wouldn't be able to hide his age during the examination. Looking at the form filled by Knight Sorrow, the woman's expression changed. A 170-year-old Heaven Monarch was too terrifying, and she had never heard of such a person. There was no such precedent. After taking the form, the woman told Knight Sorrow to wait for her before she left. The God-Devil Castle had strict requirements when it came to accepting people. It didn't mean that the sovereigns and Heaven Monarchs would be accepted by the God-Devil Castle. It also depended on one's ability. Those with high cultivation but low battle strength were considered trash in the eyes of the God-Devil Castle. While waiting, Knight Sorrow noticed 2 strands of soul power sweep past him. Knight Sorrow only turned his head to glance at them before continuing to wait. At this moment, the woman who received him appeared in front of Knight Sorrow. "The elder wants to see you. Just answer whatever he asks you," the woman said. Knight Sorrow nodded and was brought into a secret room by the woman, following which the woman bowed and left. Seeing a chair, Knight Sorrow sat down. At this moment, the wall opposite Knight Sorrow rose. 2 elders appeared and sat opposite Knight Sorrow. 170 years old. "That's about right," a green-robed elder said. "I am Naylan, the elder of Ethereal City's God-Devil Castle. I have some questions for you. You can answer them or not. However, whether the God-Devil Castle will accept you or not still needs to be discussed," the other white-robed elder with a bronze mask on his face said. "Elder, please ask. If it's convenient for me, I will answer," Knight Sorrow said. "Let's not talk about your battle strength. Just based on the fact that you reached the Heaven Monarch realm before the age of 200, you will be treated well no matter which faction you join. Why did you choose the God Devil Castle? You have to know that accepting a mission from the God Devil Castle is a life-and-death struggle, Elder Nayland said. Because I don't want to be restrained. I don't want to do things according to the wishes of others. I'm willing to preserve my dignity and take risks. I'm willing to take risks, Night Sorrow said. This was what Night Sorrow wanted to say. Very good. In addition, I have another question. Where are you from? What family, clan, or sect are you from? Can you answer me? Elder Nayland asked again. I'm not from the celestial realm. Seniors, you can treat me as a native who has never seen the world. I just plan on using the platform of the God Devil Castle to fight for a future, Night Sorrow answered. All right, you can take the test. As long as you pass, you can become a member of the God Devil Castle. Elder Nayland was rather satisfied with Night Sorrow's answer. Wait, I still want to know what requirements the God Devil Castle has for me, Night Sorrow asked. This was a crucial question and what Night Sorrow cared about the most. I thought you already knew, so I didn't say anything. Now let's talk about it. First, you have to swear a heavenly oath. You can't reveal anything about the God Devil Castle. Second, if you fail the mission, you have to leave the God Devil Castle. In other words, the God Devil Castle doesn't have any members who fail the mission, Elder Nayland said. There's no oath that you can't betray the God Devil Castle, but that you have to take action when the God Devil Castle is in danger. Night Sorrow asked in surprise. It seems like you're telling the truth. You really came from somewhere else. The God Devil Castle isn't afraid of betrayal because there's only one outcome for betrayers. In addition, the God Devil Castle is in danger. If our God Devil Castle is in danger, the people above can resolve it. We don't need ordinary members to take action, another elder said. I'm confident. Also, if there's a day when I don't want to stay in the God Devil Castle, can I leave? Night Sorrow muttered before asking again. A member of your level can leave at any time. Of course, when you have the qualifications to raise your status, the corresponding rules will also be informed, Elder Nayland said. Okay, I accept the test. Night Sorrow stood up. He admired the style of the God Devil Castle. It was domineering and didn't make things difficult for their members. Okay, follow us. The two elders stood up and walked towards the secret room in front. Night Sorrow followed behind them. It was a slanted passage that went deep underground. Underground castle. Night Sorrow discovered that he had entered an underground castle. This was the inside of the God Devil Castle. Original? Original. Elder Nayland and another elder brought Night Sorrow to a large black iron door. The God Devil Castle doesn't want trash. This is your test. If you pass, you'll be a member of the God Devil Castle. If you fail, you'll die. Do you want to enter? The elder beside Elder Nayland, who didn't reveal his identity, said, Enter. Night Sorrow didn't hesitate at all. He was never afraid of any test. Young man, I'll explain the situation to you. There are 4 battle puppets inside. Fighting with them is a test for you, Elder Nayland said. Okay, open the door. Night Sorrow nodded. The black door rose halfway, and Night Sorrow entered. Nayland, why didn't you say that the results of the test are related to status? The other elder looked at Elder Nayland and asked, Speak. First watch. Chapter 1534. Let's go watch first. After Elder Nayland finished speaking, he went to a room on the side of the black iron door. The walls were made of transparent crystals, allowing him to see everything about Night Sorrow. It's not very appropriate if you don't say anything, the old man with Elder Nayland said. He was another elder, Lung Lai. This little guy is very smart. If we tell him, he'll only want to pass. He won't try his best and hide his abilities. Elder Nayland said, a 170-year-old heavenly monarch. Even if his combat ability is a bit lacking, he still has potential. I wonder where he came from. Lung Lai reached out and touched the mask on his face. At that moment, after Night Sorrow entered the black iron door, he reached out and pulled out Splitter from his back. He then probed ahead, a small spatial world. Night Sorrow probed for a moment. Then, his face was filled with astonishment. The inside of a door was a space. This was too shocking. It also indirectly illustrated the strength of the God-Fiend castle. While Night Sorrow was probing, four black metallic life forms flew over and surrounded Night Sorrow. After surrounding him, they attacked. The metallic life forms didn't show any mercy with their sabers. Night Sorrow charged forward and lashed out with Splitter. Then, he kicked out with his right foot and attacked the second puppet. With an explosive sound, the puppet in front of Night Sorrow was sent flying. The puppet that was kicked by Night Sorrow also couldn't help but retreat. Using the rebounding force, Night Sorrow pulled back and lashed out at the metallic life form behind him. With an explosive sound, the puppet was repelled. At that moment, Night Sorrow sped up. Splitter used space, twisting Dragon Kill, and attacked the puppet's forehead. The puppet quickly retreated. The other three rushed up and attacked Night Sorrow. Punching and kicking, he blocked the attacks of the three metallic life forms. Night Sorrow's right hand quickly attacked with Splitter, attacking the target puppet. After 2 consecutive attacks, the target puppet's energy was shaken into chaos. Night Sorrow used Speed 1. With the support of the space-time will, Night Sorrow's attacks seemed to pass through space and directly stab the target's forehead. After stabbing half a foot in, a green light appeared between the puppet's eyebrows, forcing Night Sorrow to retreat. While Night Sorrow was still in shock, the puppet withdrew from the battle. Clearly, it had been defeated. The remaining 3 were even easier for Night Sorrow to deal with. His left hand punched out, and his legs kicked out, blocking the attacks of 2 puppets. His right hand Samsara grabbed a target and violently attacked. Strength? How? You don't need to use your trump card. Just show your speed and strength and you'll pass, Lung Lai said. Naila nodded as well. It was impossible to tell what Night Sorrow was capable of in this kind of battle. Night Sorrow was just blocking the interference and then grabbing a target to kill. There was no need for him to use any of his trump cards. After a while, the 4 puppets stopped moving. Night Sorrow turned his head and looked at the door behind him. Passing the test meant that he could leave. Nailin and Lung Lai looked at each other. The 2 left the viewing area and opened the test space's door. Seniors, did I pass? Night Sorrow's arm shook, and Space Breaker fell into the trap. He then asked, Yes, let's talk in the lounge, Nailin said. Night Sorrow nodded and followed him into a lounge in the underground castle. After Nailin brewed the tea, he told Night Sorrow that he had passed the God Devil Castle's inspection. As long as he didn't reveal the secrets of the God Devil Castle, he would be a member of the God Devil Castle. Night Sorrow got up and swore on the Celestial Realm's origin. Welcome, I'm Nailin. You can call me Elder Nailin. This is Elder Lung Lai. We're both elders of the Divine Devil Castle in Ethereal City. This is your token, and this is the communication crystal you use to accept missions. Nailin took out a golden crystal and a token. Wait, I didn't ask for your name, and you didn't tell me either. But a code name is necessary. What code name do you need? Lung Lai looked at Night Sorrow and said, Shang. Night Sorrow said one word. Lung Lai looked at Night Sorrow, then took the golden token and slid his finger on it. The word Shang appeared on it. Asterisk look at the original version, then Nailin introduced some more information. When Night Sorrow was needed to perform a mission, the crystal token would light up and Night Sorrow could come here. In addition, every time a mission was completed, there would be a reward point. Points could be exchanged for any resource. Any resource? Night Sorrow's eyes lit up. Of course. For example, the famous 9 Revolutions mysterious art? For example, Imperial weapons and armor. Of course, the 9 Revolutions mysterious art can't be exchanged for even with the points you've accumulated for billions of years, Lung Lai said. The resources aren't necessarily good. It's the right ones that are important, Night Sorrow said. Young man, you're right. Don't put the crystal token in the storage treasure. As long as it lights up, come here. This is the list of resources in the Divine Devil Castle. It also has the exchange requirements. Take it. Lung Lai glanced at Night Sorrow and threw a thick booklet to Night Sorrow. The missions aren't chosen by myself. Night Sorrow was stunned after receiving the booklet. No, it's distributed in the castle. The missions will be given to whoever is suitable, Nailin said. Understood. Night Sorrow cupped his hands. Okay, that's it. Nayland said. I want to take more missions that are suitable. In addition, I'll do everything I need to do. Please don't investigate me, Knight Sorrow said after standing up. No, the Divine Devil Castle doesn't need it. If you leak the secret, the world origin will take care of you. If you don't leak the secret, the Divine Devil Castle won't do anything to you. This is one of the characteristics of the Divine Devil Castle. Nayland nodded at Knight Sorrow. Okay, I need a mission. After emphasizing the point again, Knight Sorrow stood up. I'll inform you if there's a mission. In addition, the Divine Devil Castle will eliminate anyone who investigates the identity of our members. Opponents can kill members of the Divine Devil Castle, but they won't investigate or try to reveal the identity. That's suicide. However, you have to protect your identity. Lung Lai threw a mask to Knight Sorrow. Thanks. I have my own mask. Knight Sorrow took out his silver mask with flames on it of the young master of the Tianji Tower and waved his hand. Then he left the lounge. Today's mission had been successfully completed. After Knight Sorrow put on the mask, he left the Divine Devil Castle and went to the inn to stay. His original body was now working hard to cultivate. His clone was responsible for resources and some communication with the outside world. Lung Lai, what do you think of this, Shang? Nayland looked at Lung Lai and asked. He has a deep background. He's a Lord of Heaven who's less than 200 years old. Moreover, he's a Lord of Heaven with strength. We know the situation of those 4 puppets, Lung Lai said. Lung Lai said, the second update has arrived. It's a good day. I love you all. Thank you for always being with me. In addition, some people misunderstood what I said yesterday. I didn't say that the book was ending. It was just the beginning of the 3rd volume. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.